Chapter 31, The Corrupted Planet, Insect's Hive, Sign into the Emperor's Church. Arriving at the interrogation room, Chu Jiang also sat in front of the Dark Star Archbishop. Today's Dark Star Archbishop is bound by a cage made of special alloy. In this case, let alone attacking Chu Jiang, it was difficult for him to even turn his head. And Chu Jiang sat opposite him, also calm and composed. Let's talk. It's a good deal, I can let you go. Unexpectedly, as soon as these words came out, the Dark Star Archbishop opposite him also laughed. I'm not one of those idiots. I know you won't let me go. You didn't kill me now, you just wanted to get some information from me. Hearing these words, Chu Jiang also showed a smile on his face. That's right. From the beginning, he had no intention of letting the Dark Star Archbishop go. To cut off the weed must remove the root, this saying is not empty talk. The reason why Chu Jiang spared his life was because he wanted to get more information from him. Since you know everything, do you still plan to continue to explain? Unexpectedly, the Dark Star Archbishop in front of him let out a burst of uncomfortable laughter. Immediately afterwards, the Dark Star Archbishop also looked at Chu Jiang. Of course I have to tell you, the fourth crystal fragment is in the Wasteland Galaxy. You can directly reach the Wasteland Galaxy through the Star Gate. Furthermore, I can tell you responsibly that as long as you collect 4 crystal fragments, you can obtain the legacy of the old human empire. The 4th crystal fragment is in the Wasteland Galaxy. This information was also recorded by Chu Jiang. However, looking at the Dark Star Archbishop in front of him, Chu Jiang couldn't help but murmur in his heart. He didn't believe that the Dark Star Archbishop would tell him the news so easily. Something weird. Looking at the Dark Star Archbishop in front of him, his smile fell on Chu Jiang's eyes, looking even weirder. Chu Jiang thought for a moment and asked his men to investigate the origin of this Wasteland Galaxy. Soon, news about the Wasteland Galaxy was also transmitted to Chu Jiang's microcomputer. Chu Jiang turned on the microcomputer and also checked the news about the Wasteland Galaxy. After he finished checking, he couldn't help but look at the Dark Star Archbishop. What a conspiracy! The Wasteland Galaxy was originally an ordinary galaxy. But just a few years ago, the Zerg invaded this galaxy, and 5 of the 7 planets in the entire galaxy were corrupted into insect nests. In other words, today's Wasteland Galaxy has become the nest of the Zerg. An entire galaxy of Zerg, no one else can get close to it easily. Originally, this galaxy was controlled by the Galactic Covenant Alliance, but just recently, a large number of fleets swarmed in. There is only one reason why these fleets came to the Wasteland Galaxy. That's the crystal shard. The captains of these fleets were all attracted by the crystal fragments. The temptation of the S-class Glory Queen-class battleship is not something ordinary people can resist. Moreover, it is rumored that there are as many as 20 S-class Glory Queen-class battleships built by the old human empire. 20 S-class battleships, once they are born, will be a terrifying war machine. Chu Jiang touched his chin and started thinking in his heart. If you go to the Wasteland Galaxy for the 4th crystal fragment, then he not only has to deal with the Zerg that can be seen everywhere, but he also has to deal with the threats of other crystal holders. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang also made a decision in his heart. He is going to the Wasteland Galaxy. The coordinates of the Wasteland Galaxy are exactly at the edge of the Milky Way. I have already obtained 3 crystal fragments, and I am just missing the last crystal fragment. Now, the most likely place to obtain crystal fragments is in the Wasteland Galaxy. If you can plunder other people's crystal fragments, that's not bad, and you don't necessarily have to go deep into the insect nest. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang also raised his head again and looked at the Dark Star Archbishop. Your plan is very good. I have already planned to go to the Wasteland Galaxy to find the 4th crystal fragment. If I don't die in the hands of the Zerg or other crystal holders, then when I come back, it will be your death. As soon as these words came out, the Dark Star Archbishop opposite laughed. Aren't you going to kill me now? No, it's too cheap to kill you now. I want you to see my victory with your own eyes, and then die in pain. After that, Chu Jiang left the interrogation room directly. In the interrogation room, the Dark Star Archbishop also fell into silence. When Chu Jiang walked out of the interrogation room, he also returned to the bridge. Next, he only needs to wait for his system to finish signing in at Bright Star. Ding, congratulations on your successful sign-in, reward, Emperor's Church. Ding, congratulations on your successful sign-in, reward, 1000 Viking fighter planes. 3 days later, the system finally completed the sign-in for the bright stars. This time the sign-in reward actually awarded another building. Chu Jiang was a little curious, knowing that Stark Laboratory had given him a lot of help. I just don't know what magical effect this Imperial Church will have. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang stood up decisively and came to one of the rooms under the guidance of the system. Pushing open the door, a magnificent church appeared in front of Chu Jiang. At the end of this church, a huge golden statue sits on a throne. On both sides of the church, several battle nuns were praying devoutly. When Chu Jiang walked into the church, the battle nuns also reacted. One of the battle sisters came over and saluted Chu Jiang. "Dear Captain, nice to meet you." Chu Jiang glanced at these battle nuns and began to think about the role of this imperial church. The battle nun opposite seemed to understand Chu Jiang's thoughts. Therefore, this battle nun also introduced to Chu Jiang. "This is the Emperor's church, the place where the Emperor's statue is enshrined. Although the Emperor is no longer in this universe, his power will protect those who believe in him. As long as the Emperor's church exists, the Emperor's power will affect your whole body." The power of the Emperor? Chu Jiang didn't feel any Emperor's power. Moreover, what does the battle sister mean when she says that the Emperor is not in this universe? Chu Jiang frowned slightly and touched his chin. Compared to Stark Laboratory, the role of the Emperor's church is not obvious. But fortunately, there are some battle nuns in the Emperor's church. The fighting power of these battle nuns is much stronger than those of fanatics. Chapter 32, Hive Alpha, the Covenant Stronghold Among the Swarms. Wasteland Galaxy, Galactic Covenant Outpost. In order to control the expansion of the Zerg in the Wasteland Galaxy, the Galactic Star Alliance also established an outpost around the Wasteland Galaxy. In this outpost, a fleet of 100 ships stayed behind. In this way, even if the Zerg in the Wasteland Galaxy get out of control, the Galactic Covenant Alliance will be able to receive the news quickly. At this moment, in the Galaxy Star Alliance outpost, 2 Star Alliance members were looking at the vast starry sky in front of them. At this moment, a fleet escaped from the space jump state and appeared in the Wasteland Galaxy. Seeing the fleet appearing in front of them, the 2 Star Alliance members looked not surprised. Because during this period of time, there have been countless fleets coming in and out of the Wasteland system. Their purpose is very simple, it is nothing more than to get clues about the old human empire in the insect nest. But most people never come back. However, the Galactic Covenant Alliance did not stop these people. After all, if they want to move around in the insect nest, they will definitely have to deal with those insects. Isn't it a good thing for the Galactic Star Alliance to use these treasure hunters to consume the Zerg forces while waiting for work? Which fleet is this fleet this month? I don't know, I can't remember clearly. I only remember the fleets leaving the Wasteland system. There are only 2 fleets this month. It's really ridiculous that these guys are working so hard for the so-called legacy of the old human empire. After all, that is the legacy of the old human empire. At that time, the old human empire was superior to all races and was undoubtedly the strongest race in the galaxy. Although the old human empire has disappeared now, the legacy it left behind is enough to change the destiny of a race. The 2 Star Alliance members also looked at each other. To them, the legacy of the old human empire is nothing more than a hot potato. In recent years, those in the insect hive are not the only ones who have died due to the fight for inheritance. At this moment, a stream of light appeared in the vast sea of stars. The Spear of Adun also escaped from the space jump state and appeared in the Wasteland Galaxy. The 2 Star Alliance members couldn't help but widen their eyes after seeing the huge system of the Spear of Adun. What type of starship is this? Why is it so big? You ask me, who am I asking? The largest starship I have ever seen is just a star destroyer. This is my first time to see such a huge starship. But why are there no frigates around this starship? Such a large starship would be in trouble if it was focused on fire. On the bridge of the Spear of Adun, Chu Jiang also turned on the radar. Under the radar search, several planets in the Wasteland Galaxy also appeared on the map. Several planets in the Wasteland Galaxy have been completely corroded by the Zerg, and the entire planet has become a nest of the Zerg. And these insect nests are also divided into several levels: Insect Nest Alpha, Insect Nest Beta. Among them, Hive Alpha also has the highest danger level. At the same time, there are the most crystal fragments on Hive Alpha. Originally there was only one crystal fragment on Hive Alpha, but as more and more crystal holders died here, Nest Alpha has also become the place with the most crystal fragments buried. Fortunately, those Zerg don't know how to use these crystal fragments. Otherwise, the legacy of the old human empire would have been taken advantage of by these Zerg races. Chu Jiang also drove the Spear of Adun to the vicinity of Insect Nest Alpha. Looking at the dark green planet that had been polluted by the Zerg, Chu Jiang also began to prepare to drive the spacecraft to land on the surface of Zerg Nest Alpha. Chu Jiang, you have to be careful. At this time, Yun Qinghan also walked over. Knowing that Chu Jiang was coming to a dangerous place like the Wasteland Galaxy, Yun Qinghan was a little worried and followed him immediately. Chu Jiang also waved his hand to indicate the several pieces of nanoscale armor he carried on his wrist. For this operation, Chu Jiang also created several nanoarmors specifically designed to hunt the Zerg in Stark's laboratory based on the collected Zerg information. These nanoarmors look like a bracelet, but in times of crisis, they can transform into armor to protect Chu Jiang at any time. Don't worry, I'm not going to the surface of the insect nest alone this time. As soon as I find the crystal shards, I will leave the surface of the insect nest immediately. The surface of the insect nest is full of dangers, and the insects here have evolved to an extremely powerful level. It was not without thought that Chu Jiang directly drove the Spear of Adun to the surface. However, with the huge size of the Spear of Adun, if it lands on the surface, it will definitely become the target of the insect swarm's attack. At that time, it will be inconvenient for your actions. Therefore, Chu Jiang also drove the spacecraft towards the surface of Hive Alpha. According to the information marked on the official website of the Galaxy Star Alliance, in order to better strangle the Zerg, the Galaxy Star Alliance also specially set up a stronghold on the surface of the Zerg hive. In this stronghold, there are also hunters from all over the Star Sea who come to hunt the Zerg. Some are bounties set for the Galactic Covenant Alliance, while others simply hate the Zerg. Of course, some people are here for some secret treasures in the insect nest. Countless victims die in the insect nest every year, and their treasures are plundered by the insect. Chu Jiang also piloted the spacecraft and landed in the stronghold on the surface of the insect nest. In the center of the stronghold in front of you is a huge dispersal tower. The dispersing tower continuously emits a special magnetic field. Under the influence of this special magnetic field, most of the Zerg will take a detour. With the dispersion tower as the center, a stronghold was formed. Arriving at the base, Chu Jiang also registered the spacecraft information. While walking in the stronghold, Chu Jiang also checked his crystal fragments. He found that his crystal fragments also reacted violently in this stronghold. Moreover, this crystal fragment keeps changing directions. Seeing the reaction of the crystal fragment, Chu Jiang understood instantly. There must be other crystal holders in this stronghold, and there is more than one. Sure enough, most of the crystal holders wanted to try their luck in the insect nest. If you are lucky, you can directly collect 4 crystal fragments and obtain the coordinates of the legacy of the old human empire. Just when Chu Jiang was about to collect intelligence first, a familiar voice sounded behind him. Young man. Why are you here? Chapter 33, Just Call Me Lao Huang, 3 Sovereigns and 5 Emperors of Shanghai. Hearing this familiar voice, Chu Jiang followed the sound and looked over. Behind a small stall on the roadside, the middle-aged man I met at the Starlight Gathering was also sitting there with a slovenly look on his face. Chu Jiang was also a little surprised when he saw this middle-aged man. He didn't expect that he would meet this businessman again in the vast universe. However, since this guy can participate in the Starlight Gathering, he is more or less a capable businessman. But now, looking at his appearance, he doesn't look like he can enter the Starlight Gathering. And that middle-aged man didn't seem to care about him at all. Young man, we are so destined. This is the second time we have met. Since we are so destined, if you come to buy something from me this time, I can give you a 20% discount. Shopping. Chu Jiang glanced at his stall and saw that his stall was full of scraps as always. If these junks are placed here, no one passing by will even take a look. Boss, there is nothing on your stall that I want to buy. The second time he met this strange businessman, Chu Jiang also became interested and squatted at the stall in front of him. The middle-aged man looked at Chu Jiang, and a glint flashed in his eyes. Young man, you are lucky to have met me. Don't call me boss, just call me Lao Huang. The things I sell at this stall are not just junk. What I really sell is information about the insect nest. Intelligence. Hearing these two words, Chu Jiang also became interested. He had just arrived, and he didn't want to rush out of this stronghold without understanding the situation of Hive Alpha. Now, what he needs most is information. But the businessman named Lao Huang in front of him told him that he was selling insect nest information here. Chu Jiang also became interested, and then took out a bag of star coins and placed them on Lao Huang's stall. Can you tell me if you have any information? I saw old Huang's quick eyes and quick hands, and he directly pocketed the bag of star coins. Later, Chu Jiang also obtained a lot of useful information. First of all, there was the news about the crystal fragments that he was most concerned about. According to the information Lao Huang has collected in the stronghold these days, there are currently 3 crystal shard holders in this camp. One of the crystal shard holders is one of the famous 5 emperors of the Star Sea in the Outer Realm. Chu Jiang had also heard of the rumors of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors of Shanghai. These 8 people are known as the strongest planet lords in the outer world. They are not affiliated with any organization, but their strength is strong enough to rival any interstellar organization. Among them, the one currently operating in the insect nest is Wu Miao, known as the Wild Hunt Emperor. Wu Miao's race is a famous warlike race in the Star Sea, the Virgil race. They love hunting activities. This time Wu Miao came to the insect nest to hunt the bloodthirsty king insect that has only recently started to act. There is a crystal fragment in the body of the bloodthirsty king insect. Wu Miao hunted the bloodthirsty king insect for the crystal fragments in its body. After hearing this information, Chu Jiang also touched his chin. Unexpectedly, there are such powerful beings among those crystal holders. Wild Hunt Emperor, Wu Miao. He has seen his information. He owns dozens of planet territories under his command, and his flagship is the feared S-class skeleton battleship. He seems to be a psyker himself. If he really encounters him, it will still be a bit tricky for Chu Jiang now. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang also looked at Lao Huang. Besides this bloodthirsty king insect, are there any other crystal fragments whereabouts? Lao Huang shook his head and told Chu Jiang. Generally, the trophies captured by the Zerg tribe will be offered to the king Zerg first. Each insect swarm has a king insect leader. At this time, the only ones who can find traces are the bloodthirsty king insects. Other king insects will basically not show up easily when they are not eating. Otherwise, the Star Alliance would have killed all these king insects over the years. Without the leadership of the king insect, the insect swarm is just a piece of scattered sand, and there is nothing to fear. I see. Chu Jiang also learned enough information from Lao Huang. I have to say that although this old Huang looks a bit sloppy, his information here is indeed the most comprehensive. Finally, Chu Jiang also purchased a map of Hive Alpha from Lao Huang. With maps and intelligence, Chu Jiang also had the capital to set out from his stronghold. Therefore, Chu Jiang also included the map in his microcomputer. After leaving the stronghold, Chu Jiang also headed towards the location of the bloodthirsty king insect. Along the way, his crystal fragments flickered on and off. This shows that other crystal holders are also preparing to hunt the bloodthirsty king insect. Squeak squeak. After leaving the Star Alliance stronghold, Chu Jiang also came to a deserted forest. Looking around, the trees in this forest are all withered and yellow. The liquid secreted by the Zerg is still hanging on the bare tree branches. Captain, be careful. These Zerg are very good at sneak attacks. Please don't leave our sight range. Many pilots also protected Chu Jiang in the center. Regarding the combat capabilities of these pilots, Chu Jiang is relatively reassured. Unexpectedly, at this time Chu Jiang felt the ground beneath his feet tremble. Almost instantly, Chu Jiang put on the armor directly. A psychic blade protruded from his arm device. Buffed. The next second, Chu Jiang directly pierced the psychic blade into the ground under his feet. Along with a burst of screams coming from the ground, Chu Jiang turned over and pulled out the psychic blade. Looking back, I saw wisps of acidic green liquid on the psychic blade constantly evaporating in the air. Then, the ground cracked. A large number of ground-escaping Zerg emerged from the ground. Seeing these escape Zerg, Chu Jiang also narrowed his eyes slightly. No wonder he had left the dispersing tower and still hadn't seen a single Zerg. It turned out that these Zerg were all hiding underground. Fire. Chu Jiang's voice contained no emotion. Many pilots also directly raised their firearms. Da-da-da. A lot of bullets poured out. The bullets used by the pilot are special armor-piercing bullets developed by Stark Laboratories. Afterwards, the Star Forge of the Spear of Adun also mass-produced this special armor-piercing projectile. This special armor-piercing bullet was developed specifically for the Zerg. The armor of the Zerg is comparable to steel, and it has no advantage at all in front of this special bullet. A large number of bullets penetrated the bodies of the ground escape Zerg, and a large number of ground escape Zerg fell down like wheat. Chapter 34, You fell down before I even used my full strength, Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao. Hiss. Many Zerg have never seen such ferocious firepower. The armor they are proud of is as fragile as paper in front of these special armor-piercing bullets. If anyone saw this scene, they would be shocked. You know, when they encounter the Zerg on weekdays, they either run away immediately, or they need a lot of firepower to check and balance the Zerg. The Zerg's shell armor is comparable to steel, making it difficult to damage it without weapons of mass destruction. However, now these Zerg have no power to fight back in front of Chu Jiang's control troops. Pieces of ground-breaking Zerg fell to the ground one after another, and the remaining ground-breaking Zerg were also aware of the opponent's powerful fighting power. Driven by instinct, the remaining escaping Zerg quickly began to escape, trying to escape the bullets. Chu Jiang turned on the armor's data recording function and uploaded all combat data to Stark's laboratory. Ding, the data of the Earth escape Zerg has been accepted. Ding, a special armor-piercing bullet number 2 has been created based on the data. Ding, special armor-piercing bullet number 2 has been uploaded to the Starry Sky Forge database. The Star Forge and the Spear of Adun also received ammunition blueprints from Stark's laboratory. As a result, the special armor-piercing bullet number 1 being produced was also directly replaced. Ding, I have received the number 2 drawing of the special armor-piercing projectile. Ding, the drawings have been loaded and manufacturing has started. Production of special armor-piercing bullet number 2 began. Perhaps the Zerg did not expect that after every battle of Chu Jiang and his team, their equipment could be upgraded twice based on the battle data. This speed of upgrading is even faster than the evolution of the Zerg. Zerg evolution may take days or months. But if Chu Jiang wants to develop weapons and ammunition against them, he only needs to upload the data to the Stark laboratory after the battle. Stark Labs can create corresponding weapons in a few hours or even minutes. Chu Jiang discovered that the Stark laboratory combined with the Starry Sky Forge was simply the most powerful arms assembly line. After the data was uploaded, Chu Jiang also waved his hand. Many pilots also continued to follow the guidance of the map and headed towards the territory of the bloodthirsty king insect. On Nest Alpha, many king insects also have their own territories. Each insect swarm has its own fixed territory, and the place where Chu Jiang is now is the territory of the escape Zerg. After continuing to move forward, Chu Jiang and the others finally arrived at the area where the bloodthirsty Zerg were. When they stepped into this area, a strong smell of blood hit their faces. The ground beneath their feet was covered with dead bones, and there were also a lot of dried blood. The scarlet blood mixed with the land, turning the land in front of him into a strange red color. This is the territory of the bloodthirsty king insect. Everyone, please be careful. According to the information provided by Lao Huang, the bloodthirsty Zerg are the most powerful and troublesome existence among all the Zerg. They can drain the blood of a creature 10 times larger than themselves in a short period of time. Because of this, they are also called bloodthirsty Zerg. Buzz buzz. At this moment, there was a sound of insects in the distance. In the distance, a blood-red dark cloud also flew towards this side. Seeing this, Chu Jiang's expression also changed. I didn't expect us to be so unlucky. We encountered a swarm of bloodthirsty insects as soon as we arrived here. Chu Jiang waved his hand, and many pilots quickly prepared for battle. The bloodthirsty swarm is getting closer. At this time, Chu Jiang could already see the specific appearance of these bloodthirsty insect swarms. Compared to the earth-evading Zerg, the bloodthirsty Zerg are only about the size of a watermelon. But the advantage of the bloodthirsty Zerg is that they are extremely numerous. Every time they appear, there are basically thousands of Zerg moving at the same time. Thousands of bloodthirsty Zerg, gathered together, are like a deadly dark cloud. On a hillside in the distance, a figure was riding a horse looking down at the people in Chu Jiang below. Behind this man, many cavalrymen wearing armor and holding long swords were also standing there, exuding a strong coercion that no strangers should enter. Great Emperor, someone is here again. This person seems to be a human being. He probably came here for the crystal shards. That's right, the Virgilman riding a war horse and wearing armor in front of him is Yumio, known as the Wild Hunt Emperor. His remaining war horse is a biochemical horse bred by alloy biotechnology. The biochemical horse has unlimited endurance and extremely powerful defense. The armor on his body also uses energy armor manufacturing technology, and the surface of the armor has this layer of energy shield. On the surface, these people look like cavalry in the cold weapon era. In fact, every weapon in their hands is an advanced technology that other civilizations have been unable to crack for thousands of years of research. The Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao glanced at Chu Jiang and his party who were about to encounter a swarm of bloodthirsty insects. He took out his crystal fragment and found that the crystal fragment pointed in the direction of Chu Jiang. Unexpectedly, this blue star human is also a crystal holder. That's all. With their numbers, they probably won't be able to resist this wave of bloodthirsty insects. After the bloodthirsty swarm eats them all, it won't be too late for us to recover the crystal fragments. Wu Miao didn't take Chu Jiang seriously. After taking a look at Chu Jiang's team, he lost any interest. He thought he could find a suitable opponent by following the guidance of the crystal. However, when he saw that Chu Jiang was just a blue star human, not even a psyker, he was disappointed. In his opinion, Chu Jiang was just a lucky guy who happened to get the crystal shards. Boom. At this moment, an explosion suddenly sounded. Wu Miao also followed the sound and looked towards Chu Jiang's team. I saw those pilots wearing arc shurikens in their hands. One of the pilots threw the arc shuriken directly into the swarm of bloodthirsty insects. Boom. The arc shuriken exploded, and large swaths of the bloodthirsty Zerg fell. These bloodthirsty Zergs gather together to move, which makes it easier for the pilots to throw arc shurikens. Boom. 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 The bloodthirsty Zerg lost most of their troops before they could get close to Chu Jiang. There are only a few scattered bloodthirsty Zerg that are not worth fearing at all. I saw those pilots raising their firearms and finishing off these bloodthirsty Zerg in 3 or 2 strokes. Ding, the bloodthirsty Zerg information has been collected. Ding, the battle data has been uploaded to Stark Laboratory. Chu Jiang uploaded the data to Stark's laboratory, and then took a look at the corpses of the bloodthirsty Zerg on the ground. It seems that these Zerg are not that difficult to deal with. Previous chapter 35, I admire you very much, let's compete with me. Oh. It's interesting. Chu Jiang's performance also successfully attracted Wu Miao's attention. He originally thought that it was impossible for Chu Jiang, an ordinary human being, to survive this swarm of bloodthirsty insects. But the reality shocked him. Chu Jiang not only killed these bloodthirsty insect swarms, but he didn't even spend much energy in the process. Several arc shurikens were thrown over. Although those bloodthirsty insect swarms were powerful in attack, their defense was extremely weak. Under the bombardment of arc shurikens, these bloodthirsty insect swarms were also directly wiped out. The way Chu Jiang dealt with the bloodthirsty insect swarm really gave Wu Miao a new understanding of the human being in front of him. You know, Wu Miao has seen many mercenaries. When dealing with the bloodthirsty insect swarm, they were already defeated before the head-on confrontation began. Of course, in the end, these people became food for the bloodthirsty insect swarm in vain. Thinking of this, Wu Miao also became interested in Chu Jiang. Let's go meet this blue star human for a while. Having said that, Wu Miao also held the reins in his hand, and the remaining biochemical horses also understood it. Many cavalry followed closely behind. On Chu Jiang's side, just after he had collected the data on the bloodthirsty Zerg, he also heard the sound of horse hooves approaching. The sound of horse hooves. How could a creature like a horse exist on this insect nest where no grass grows? However, when he raised his head and looked in the direction of the sound, he couldn't help but wonder if he was dazzled. On the horizon in the distance, a group of cavalry wearing armor also appeared in his field of vision. When he saw this group of cavalry wearing armor and swords at their waists, Chu Jiang narrowed his eyes slightly and couldn't help but be on guard. You know, in this world, the higher the level of civilization, the more primitive its weapons are. Some advanced civilizations, although their civilization levels are extremely high, love cold weapons. Besides, none of the teams that can appear here are good. Sure enough, after letting this group of cavalry approach, Chu Jiang saw clearly that the remaining horses of these cavalry were all biochemical horses. This kind of horse is said to be a living thing, but strictly speaking, it is just a machine. However, compared to normal horses, this kind of biochemical horse not only has strong defense, but also never feels matched. Once it charges, the speed of this biochemical horse is comparable to a spaceship. At this moment, the leader Wu Miao also rode forward and looked down at Chu Jiang. Blue Star Human, I just saw it from the side. I didn't expect that, as an ordinary person, you could kill these bloodthirsty bugs so easily. I admire you very much. If you want to join me, I, Wu Miao, will never treat any of my talents badly. Yumio. Hearing this name, Chu Jiang's words also echoed in Chu Jiang's mind. That Wild Hunt Emperor is a Virgilian named Yumio. If you meet him then, you'd better run away. Even if you can't run away, you should try your best to save your life. After all, that is the Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao. Good guy. Chu Jiang didn't know whether he was unlucky or lucky, but he won the first prize right away. Among the 3 crystal holders, the most competitive one is the Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao. You must know that among the 8 strong men who can achieve the title of 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors in the cruel sea of stars, none of them is a fuel-efficient lamp. Seeing Chu Jiang's hesitation, Wu Miao also smiled faintly. You must be here to look for crystal fragments, right? But it's a pity that now in the entire wasteland galaxy, except for the crystal fragments on the king insect, all the remaining crystal fragments are in my hands. Hearing this sentence, Chu Jiang couldn't help but frown slightly. What's the meaning? According to Lao Huang's information, there are 3 crystal holders in the wasteland galaxy so far. Unexpectedly, the next second, Wu Miao took out 2 heads from the storage bag on the side. After Chu Jiang saw these 2 heads, he immediately understood. It turned out that the other 2 crystal holders had been beheaded by Wu Miao. Wu Miao looked at Chu Jiang with a teasing smile on his face. I originally planned to hunt you down together with the king insect. But, after seeing your previous performance, I changed my mind. Now, you have a chance to survive, that is to become my subordinate. How about it? I can give you 5 minutes to think about it. Wu Miao looked at Chu Jiang as if he had already seen Chu Jiang's next ending. And Chu Jiang looked at Wu Miao in front of him and began to think secretly in his heart. In terms of strength, Wu Miao, as the Wild Hunt Emperor, is definitely far superior to him. The coercion emanating from him was even stronger than the Dark Star Archbishop he met back then. Now there is a head-on conflict with Wu Miao, there is only one way to die. However, Chu Jiang will not just surrender. I still have a chance. As long as I can collect Wu Miao's combat data, I can use Stark Laboratory and Starry Sky Forge to create weapons and equipment for Wu Miao. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang's brain was also running rapidly. Finally, Wu Miao looked at Chu Jiang impatiently. Have you considered? At this moment, many Virgil cavalry behind him also slowly drew out the high-powered swords on their waists. Seeing this, Chu Jiang also spoke. If you want me to be your subordinate, you must first prove that you are better than me. Prove that I'm better than you. Hearing this sentence, Wu Miao seemed to have heard some joke. Brush. I saw a powerful wave of energy burst out from the high-energy blade in his hand. As he raised his hand, a sword energy containing violent energy swept through the area like a storm. Wherever it passes, everything is broken down into its most primitive molecular state. Wu Miao looked down at Chu Jiang, and the high-powered blade in his hand was also pointed at Chu Jiang. Is this enough to prove that I'm better than you? Good guy. Chu Jiang also quickly recorded Wu Miao's combat data just now, but the combat data from this one blow alone was not enough. Therefore, Chu Jiang continued to stimulate Wu Miao. Not enough. Not enough. Then tell me, what can prove that I am better than you? Wu Miao looked at the blue star human in front of him with interest. Chu Jiang also struck while the iron was hot and continued, since you are called the Wild Hunt Emperor, then let's hunt. Whoever can kill the bloodthirsty king insect first will prove that he is more powerful. Hunting the bloodthirsty king worm. Wu Miao smiled. As a Virgilian, he has survived hunting and fighting since he was a child. Chu Jiang actually wanted to compare his hunting ability with him. Previous chapter 36, the bloodthirsty king insect is born. The mantis stalks the cicada while the oriole follows behind. Then hunting. Wu Miao smiled. He was laughing at how Chu Jiang, an ordinary human being, could be so overestimated. He actually chose to compete with him to see who could hunt the bloodthirsty king insect first. Wu Miao laughed, and then put away the high-powered sword in his hand. Boy, you are smart, but not smart enough. Do you know why I'm called the Wild Hunt Emperor? That's because the prey I target always has only one outcome, and that is to be hunted by me. After that, Wu Miao pulled the reins and said something very arrogantly. Be prepared to fail. Afterwards, Wu Miao also left with his cavalry. And Chu Jiang also knows very well that now he has become one of Wu Miao's prey. If he couldn't collect enough battle data about Wu Miao, he would be doomed. Wild Hunting Emperor Wu Miao, this is definitely the most powerful enemy Chu Jiang has encountered since he stepped into the Sea of Stars. No matter in terms of personal ability or the strength of his troops, Wu Miao is far superior to him. If you want to win, you must not have too many head-on conflicts with him. Buzz. At this moment, there was also a sound of insects in the distance. Chu Jiang raised his head and looked over, frowning slightly. I saw a large number of bloodthirsty Zerg gathering on the horizon in the distance, numbering over 1,000,000. Millions of bloodthirsty Zerg gathered together, like a black cloud over the city. And the reason why this situation occurs is that there is only one possibility. The bloodthirsty king insect appears. Only when the bloodthirsty king insect appears can he order millions of insects to protect him. I didn't expect the king insect to appear so soon. The corners of Wu Miao's mouth also raised slightly, and then she looked at Chu Jiang with a teasing smile. Boy, be prepared for failure. After saying that, Wu Miao ran directly towards the place where the bloodthirsty insect swarm was. Those are millions of bloodthirsty Zerg. Such a number of Zerg can be placed on any planet. In just 1 hour, they can kill all the creatures in an entire city. But facing such a large number of bloodthirsty Zerg, Wu Miao not only had no fear at all, but began to get excited. Chu Jiang watched Wu Miao rush into the swarm of bloodthirsty insects, but he did not follow him immediately. Captain, what should we do next? The surrounding pilots also asked Chu Jiang, and they could also feel that the cavalry under Wu Miao was extremely powerful. If a fight really breaks out, they may not be able to deal with those cavalry on such flat terrain. The maneuverability and flexibility of the pilot can only be demonstrated in complex terrain such as high-rise buildings. The plain terrain in front of them was somewhat disadvantageous to them. But Chu Jiang didn't panic at all at this moment. He raised his hand to signal the pilot to follow him. Later, Chu Jiang also occupied a high place. Through the heights, Chu Jiang also saw the battle between the bloodthirsty Zerg and Wu Miao. I saw Wu Miao leading his cavalry and rushing straight into the swarm of bloodthirsty insects. A large number of bloodthirsty Zerg were aroused when they saw how brave the other party was. Several bloodthirsty Zerg attacked Wu Miao directly, their sharp fangs could easily tear apart steel. But the moment they approached Wu Miao, a transparent energy barrier blocked their way. Seeing this, Wu Miao sneered. Brush! The high-energy sword in his hand was swung out, and a powerful energy wave exploded like a bomb. With Wu Miao as the center, all the bloodthirsty Zerg approaching were immediately shattered into pieces by the energy shock wave. Immediately afterwards, Wu Miao swung a sword. The sword energy containing terrifying energy also directly cleared a path among the bloodthirsty insects. Looking at Wu Miao below, who was like a god of war, rushing back and forth among the bloodthirsty insects, Chu Jiang immediately launched his drone and started collecting his battle data. At this moment, among the bloodthirsty insects, a huge bloodthirsty king insect also appeared in everyone's sight. Compared with the ordinary bloodthirsty Zerg, the size of the bloodthirsty king insect is about 100 times larger. Not only that, around this bloodthirsty king insect, several strong bloodthirsty guard insects are also guarding the king insect. Seeing the king insect appear, Wu Miao also smiled. Charge me. Yes. The cavalry under Wu Miao let out a loud roar, and the remaining biochemical horses also emitted a scarlet light. With an order, many cavalrymen directly started charging mode. The powerful biochemical horse is like a chariot, rampaging among the bloodthirsty insects. Many cavalrymen held sharp swords, and the powerful energy magnetic field formed an energy shock wave in front of them. Wherever they passed, no bloodthirsty Zerg could attack them. If you get even the slightest bit closer, you will be crushed into powder by the energy shock wave. Seeing how powerful the troops under Wu Miao were in combat, Chu Jiang also touched his chin. Sure enough, as one of the famous 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors in Qinghai, even the troops under their command are extremely powerful. Although this team of cavalry only has about 100 people, they can shuttle back and forth among millions of insect swarms and even have the momentum to stay above the insect swarms. Such a powerful force also made Chu Jiang more cautious. The cavalry combat data has been uploaded and the corresponding measures are being analyzed. The battle data of Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao has been uploaded and the corresponding measures are being analyzed. The Bloodthirsty King insect battle data has been uploaded and the corresponding measures are being analyzed. Chu Jiang occupied a high position and collected data from both parties unhurriedly. In battles between 2 parties, data and intelligence are often part of the manifestation of combat effectiveness. At this time, the situation on the battlefield had begun to become clear. The wild-hunting Emperor Wu Miao, relying on his powerful combat power and the weapons in his hands, also fought his way to the Bloodthirsty King insect. Brush! He swung his sword, and the sword energy containing energy fell directly on the Bloodthirsty King insect. A bloody wound suddenly appeared on the Bloodthirsty King insect. But in just an instant, the wound healed again. The Bloodthirsty King insect was also angered by the sudden attack. I saw it opening its bloody mouth, and a thick mist of blood spurted out. Wherever the blood mist passed, even the rocks on the ground turned into a pool of blood in an instant. With such strong corrosiveness, if it is really shrouded in blood mist, no matter how powerful the energy shield is, it may not be able to stop it. But the Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao is full of energy at the moment, pointing his sword at the king insect. Is this all you have? If that's all you can do, you can die. Chapter 37, I have always been very lucky. Imperial armor, combined. Brush. A sword energy slashed out, which was different from the previous sword energy. This time the sword energy contains extremely powerful spiritual power. Psychic power is a power more powerful than ordinary energy. The Bloodthirsty King insect on the opposite side sensed a slight danger to its life and immediately waved its wings. As the strong wind blew, the surrounding vision suddenly became blurry. Wu Miao raised her arms to resist the debris blown by the strong wind. But the sword energy containing spiritual power also fell directly on the Bloodthirsty King insect. Hiss! The Bloodthirsty King insect let out a sharp scream. Subsequently, many bloodthirsty insect swarms also gathered around the king insect. At this time, the Bloodthirsty King insect also realized deeply that the Virgil in front of him was not a good person. If you continue to confront him, you will most likely be the one who falls in the end. Thinking of this, the Bloodthirsty King insect also fled towards the distance under the cover of the insect swarm. Seeing the Bloodthirsty King insect escaping, Wu Miao also chuckled. It's just a king insect, it's just a lost dog in front of me. But at this time, Chu Jiang, who was collecting Yumio battle data in the distance, felt something was wrong. Why did this Bloodthirsty King insect come to him? If the Bloodthirsty King insect continued to approach him, a fight would inevitably occur between the 2 parties. However, the Bloodthirsty King insect is still relatively far away from him now. If you leave this place now, you can completely avoid the Bloodthirsty King insect. But at this time, Chu Jiang had a different idea in his heart. Today's Bloodthirsty King insect has been severely damaged by Wu Miao. The sword energy containing spiritual power fell on it, and the spiritual power in it completely inhibited its recovery ability. The current Bloodthirsty King insect is just the end of its powerful crossbow. Moreover, the bloodthirsty guard insects that occupied the main force around it have all been killed by Wu Miao's cavalry. Even the number of bloodthirsty insect swarms is only about 1/10 compared to the beginning. Now, it happens to be the time when the Bloodthirsty King insect is at its weakest. At this time, the Bloodthirsty King insect flew towards him. Isn't this a great opportunity for him to reap the benefits? Thinking of this, Chu Jiang felt hot in his heart. Everyone prepare. The Bloodthirsty King insect is coming towards us. Now is when it is at its weakest, and it is also the best time for us to kill it. As long as you kill the Bloodthirsty King insect, you can get the last crystal fragment. At that point, the initiative lies with you. Attention everyone, the Bloodthirsty King insect is coming towards us. If we can kill the king insect here, then this bet will be our victory. After receiving the order, many pilots immediately began to prepare. Chu Jiang also raised his arm and chose an armor specifically for the Zerg to equip. Under the command of Chu Jiang, many pilots also took the lead in ambushing. The bloodthirsty king insect didn't know yet that there was another group of hunters ambushing him on his escape route. Just when the bloodthirsty king insect passed by this hillside, suddenly, a large number of arc shurikens came from all directions like a rainstorm. The bloodthirsty Zerg gathered around the king insect have now become the most dangerous mobile bombs. Boom. 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 Along with a series of explosions, the explosion damage of the arc shuriken made the already seriously injured bloodthirsty king insect even worse. The bloodthirsty king insect was finally overwhelmed and fell directly to the ground. Chu Jiang also seized this opportunity, and the armor behind him sprayed out powerful airflow. Chu Jiang soared into the sky, the armor on his back opened, and the artillery in the sky bombarded the bloodthirsty king insect like meteors. Almost instantly, the flames swallowed up the bloodthirsty king insect. The surrounding pilots seemed to be unceremonious and fired directly into the flames, not giving the bloodthirsty king insect a chance to breathe. The flames dissipated, and the bloodthirsty king insect fell to the ground lifeless. Upon seeing this, Chu Jiang stepped forward and cut off the head of the bloodthirsty king insect. Then in the body of the bloodthirsty king insect, Chu Jiang also found the last crystal fragment. Now, with all 4 crystal fragments collected, Chu Jiang can obtain the coordinates of the legacy of the old human empire. But Chu Jiang knew very well that this matter was not that simple. Next, the enemy he has to face is the most difficult existence. Wu Miao came to Chu Jiang with many of his cavalry. When he saw the bloodthirsty king insect lying on the ground, his expression became extremely gloomy. The cavalrymen under his command looked at each other, and some couldn't believe the result. They worked hard for a long time and finally severely damaged the bloodthirsty king insect. Unexpectedly, the bloodthirsty king insect actually ran directly to Chu Jiang and gave Chu Jiang his head for free. According to the bet, whoever kills the bloodthirsty king insect will win. But these subordinates knew very well that the master they followed was an extremely competitive person. And this time he still lost to others in the hunting field where he was best at. The Virgils, who were born into a hunting tribe, lost to a blue star human that they had never looked down upon. At this moment, Wu Miao felt that his honor as a Virgilian had been severely stepped on the ground. I won. At this time, Chu Jiang also read out the results of this hunting competition without mercy. The next second, Wu Miao became furious. Shut up. You be ********** D despicable human. Obviously we severely damaged the king insect, but you were just lucky enough to steal the victory of this game. You despicable and dirty guy, I will never admit your victory. Chu Jiang looked at Wu Miao very calmly and sighed secretly in his heart. Sure enough, he knew that the other party would never let him go easily. Wu Miao, who was on the opposite side, suddenly drew out the sword in his hand, with a trace of killing intent flashing in his eyes. If you want to leave here, then ask the sword in my hand if you agree. As soon as he said this, Chu Jiang on the opposite side also chuckled. At this moment, Wu Miao felt as if she had become much smaller in Chu Jiang's field of vision. But that miserable self-esteem is telling myself. He is the noble wild hunt emperor, the pride of the Virgil clan. The guy opposite is just a blue star human. Chu Jiang took a few steps back, and then said calmly, I didn't expect that as the wild hunt emperor, he would actually say things like this. But that's okay, from the beginning I never thought you could let me go easily. If you want to fight, then fight. The next second, Chu Jiang opened his hands, and 2 crystal towers rose from the ground. In the sky, an airdrop cabin crashed down. Chu Jiang looked at the airdrop pod in front of him, then looked at Wu Miao with a contemptuous smile. Emperor Armor, activate. Chapter 38, let you see what the power of technology is. What other trump cards do you have? The Emperor Armor in the airdrop cabin was quickly equipped on Chu Jiang. Seeing this scene, Wu Miao on the opposite side also sneered with some disdain. Do you think you can fight me with just these scraps of metal? This kind of scrap metal, I only need one blow to cut it and you in half. Facing the threat of Wu Miao, Chu Jiang ignored it and tested the flexibility of the Emperor's armor. Very good. This imperial armor was specially built by Chu Jiang by collecting combat data from Wu Miao. Stark Laboratory also equipped many equipment targeting Wu Miao's abilities based on Wu Miao's combat data. Coupled with the blessing of Starry Sky Forge, Chu Jiang can just use this set of armor. Chu Jiang, wearing Imperial armor, also looked at Wu Miao opposite. How do you know some things if you don't try them? As soon as these words came out, Wu Miao on the opposite side also waved his hand. The cavalryman under him also immediately understood and took a few steps back, leaving the battlefield in the middle to Chu Jiang and Wu Miao. Wu Miao sneered, and then drew out his high-powered sword. Wu Miao, who was riding on the horse, looked down at Chu Jiang. Brush. The next second, Wu Miao directly slashed out a sword energy containing energy. The sword energy was like an arrow leaving the string and attacking Chu Jiang straight away. But Chu Jiang didn't change his expression, and with a wave of his hand, an energy shield appeared in front of him. When the powerful energy sword energy touched Chu Jiang's energy shield, it was actually directly blocked by Chu Jiang's energy shield. The surrounding ground had been broken down into a molecular state by the energy sword energy, but in front of Chu Jiang's shield, the sword energy stopped abruptly. Seeing this scene, Wu Miao on the opposite side was also a little surprised. Whoosh! At this moment, Chu Jiang's figure suddenly disappeared from where he was. What a speed! Wu Miao suddenly felt something bad. The next second, Chu Jiang appeared beside him. Brush! Chu Jiang raised his hands, and two psychic blades popped out of his arms and attacked Wu Miao directly. Wu Miao had quick eyes and quick hands, and he dismounted with lightning speed. But the biochemical horse under him was not so lucky. Two psychic blades directly killed the biochemical horse with a body comparable to an alloy on the spot. His mount was killed, and Wu Miao also had a trace of anger on his face. Damn it! Why is this human's armor so powerful? It's completely unlike what human civilization can achieve. Chu Jiang looked at Wu Miao in front of him. The data panel of the visor also simulated multiple battle routes based on Wu Miao's combat data. Wu Miao's guess was correct. The Imperial armor on Chu Jiang was indeed not something that human civilization and technology could achieve. The data for this set of Imperial armor was constructed by the Stark Laboratory awarded by the system, and the manufacturing process was provided by the Starry Sky Forge. It can be said that the technological level of this set of Imperial armor has exceeded the technological level of human civilization by countless times. Wu Miao just thought that he was an ordinary blue star human. This was his biggest mistake. The next second, Chu Jiang disappeared again. The powerful power of the Emperor's armor also made Wu Miao unable to react. Brush! Chu Jiang's figure appeared in front of Wu Miao, and a psychic blade went straight towards Wu Miao. Wu Miao was also agile and quickly dodged Chu Jiang's attack. But then, Wu Miao found that every move she made seemed to be predicted by Chu Jiang. Chu Jiang suppressed Wu Miao all the way, barely giving Wu Miao any chance to breathe. At this moment, Wu Miao couldn't bear it and directly mobilized the spiritual energy in his body. In an instant, the Wu Miao in front of him burst out with astonishing psychic power. Violent spiritual power surged out of his body, and at this moment Wu Miao was like a god descending into the world. At this moment, his physical fitness increased several times with the blessing of spiritual power. It's time to end it. Humans. Poof. The next second, Wu Miao's eyes widened and she looked at her abdomen in disbelief. I saw Chu Jiang stabbing a special dagger into his body. At this moment, the powerful psychic power in his body was like a deflated rubber ball, dissipating at an extremely fast speed. Psychers. Chu Jiang sneered, he was not the only psychic he was targeting. In addition to seeing Wu Miao's appearance, the adjutant among Wu Miao's team also felt that something was wrong. Although Wu Miao hated being disturbed during the duel. But my intuition told me that if I didn't take action now, Wu Miao would probably fall like this. Thinking of this, the adjutant directly mobilized his psychic power. Brush. The next second, the positions of Wu Miao and the adjutant were reversed. The adjutant also appeared in front of Chu Jiang. Chu Jiang missed his attack and a powerful force restrained his movements. Chu Jiang also frowned slightly when he saw that Wu Miao in front of him had become the enemy's adjutant. Boom. A missile exploded directly between the two. Chu Jiang also broke free from the adjutant's psychic restraint with the help of the impact of the explosion. After returning to his team, Chu Jiang also frowned slightly. Just now, he lost his best chance to kill Wu Miao. Now Wu Miao has probably realized that if he wants to succeed in a sneak attack again, it may not be that easy. When Wu Miao returned to her team, she reluctantly pulled out the special dagger. The magnetic field emitted by this dagger can actually interfere with the movement of spiritual energy in one's body. However, Wu Miao was also sure just now that this dagger would only be effective if used when he had just mobilized his spiritual energy. If this dagger can really suppress psychers, Chu Jiang can use this special dagger against his lieutenant again. Once here, Wu Miao did not despise the human being in front of him at all. He had already paid a heavy price for his underestimation of the enemy. I'm afraid it will be difficult for me to recover from the injury caused by this knife in less than 10 days and a half. When he got here, the adjutant also looked at Wu Miao. Emperor, are you okay? I'm fine. Having said that, Wu Miao also looked at Chu Jiang. Human, you are indeed very strong. It was my biggest mistake to underestimate you at the beginning. But, do you have any trump cards now? True card. Chu Jiang smiled faintly. Of course. As soon as he finished speaking, the crystal tower behind him also started to operate. Immediately afterwards, a large number of fanatics also appeared behind Chu Jiang. Seeing these fanatics appear, Wu Miao's eyes widened. These fanatics are all psychers with psychic powers. Who is this blue star human in front of me, and how can he have so many psychers under his command? At this moment, Wu Miao felt as if she had offended someone she shouldn't have. Chapter 39. Guess how many trump cards I have? I remember you. Do you want to continue fighting? When Chu Jiang said this, he also had a very confident smile on his face. Now, Wu Miao was severely injured by himself, and he would definitely be unable to use his psychic powers in a short period of time. Although his troops are strong, with the fanatics on his side joining them, they are not worth it at all. What's more, he still has several trump cards that he hasn't used yet. Therefore, if this battle really breaks out, Chu Jiang is 100% sure that he can kill Wu Miao on the spot. At this moment, Wu Miao's adjutant glanced at Chu Jiang, and with a wave of his hand, the rocks around him turned into spikes and pointed directly at Chu Jiang. A mere human was able to win by relying on despicable means like sneak attacks. Do you really think you are some kind of powerful person? As soon as these words came out, Chu Jiang smiled. Chu Jiang clapped his hands, and Wu Miao's heart skipped a beat across from him. What's the situation? Does the blue star human opposite have any trump cards? The next second, several bright lights appeared in the sky. Several Titan mechas fell from the sky and landed around Chu Jiang. At this time, even Wu Miao's adjutant was stunned. Now, the opponent is not only stronger than them in terms of military strength, but also seems to be much stronger than them in terms of strength. Although he was also a psyker, he also saw the power of Chu Jiang's imperial armor. At that time, if Chu Jiang can hold him back alone, then his troops would be enough to massacre all the troops on his side. Moreover, Wu Miao is now seriously injured. If a fight really breaks out, the situation will definitely be unfavorable for their side. The injured Wu Miao felt aggrieved when he saw the Titan mecha landing. How could he be forced into such a situation by a human being? I lost. Forced by circumstances, Wu Miao had to bow to Chu Jiang. But Chu Jiang didn't speak, just stretched out his hand towards Wu Miao. It's not enough to just admit defeat. Hand over your crystal shards. At the same time, I also need compensation. Now, Chu Jiang occupies the main position, and he has absolute dominance. At the same time, Chu Jiang also knew very well. If Wu Miao is killed here, the Virgil tribe behind him will never let him go. His current strength is not yet strong enough to compete with an entire race. Keep Wu Miao, no matter how angry Wu Miao is, he will not deal with him in a big way. After all, Wu Miao, the great emperor of the Wild Hunt, was defeated at the hands of a human without psychic powers. If he told it, he would probably be laughed at. You actually want compensation? The adjutant's eyes widened and he couldn't believe that such arrogant words could come out of Chu Jiang's mouth. Wu Miao and the team looked gloomy, and now he only had one thought. That's why he killed the human being in front of him as soon as they met. If he could still mobilize his spiritual energy now, he wouldn't be afraid of Chu Jiang's threat at all. But now, he is seriously injured, and without knowing how many cards the opponent has left, Wu Miao's first choice is definitely to avoid fighting. After thinking for a moment, Wu Miao finally chose to compromise. Return. This was said to his adjutant. Later, Wu Miao took out the crystal fragments from his body. This is the crystal fragment I got. Then, except for this star coin card, I have nothing else on me now. Wu Miao never carries too many things when going out. But at this time, Wu Miao saw an evil smile on Chu Jiang's face. The moment he saw this smile, Wu Miao felt something was wrong. After a while, Wu Miao watched Chu Jiang take away all their equipment, and his face became even more gloomy and terrifying. We have done what we should do, it's time for you to keep your promise. Who knows, at this time Chu Jiang smiled faintly. Seeing this smile, Wu Miao felt a chill in her back. Now that you have no equipment, you are far inferior to us in terms of military strength and strength. Hearing this, Wu Miao suddenly felt something bad. The next second, Chu Jiang launched an attack directly. But fortunately, Wu Miao's adjutant had been prepared and immediately mobilized his spiritual energy to raise a spiritual shield. The powerful psychic shield blocked most attacks. When the adjutant saw this, he couldn't help but curse. Despicable human beings with no moral integrity. Wu Miao was also furious when he saw Chu Jiang attacking. I was actually deceived twice by the same human being on the same day. Fortunately, during the negotiation process with Chu Jiang, Wu Miao also summoned his own starship to come for support. There was a roar in the sky, and a huge starship appeared. A large number of spaceships rushed down from the starship. Wu Miao breathed a sigh of relief when he saw his own support coming. Human, I remember you. From now on, if I meet you again in the Sea of Stars, I will definitely make you pay the price you deserve. As soon as he finished speaking, a bullet grazed Wu Miao's cheek. Wu Miao was suddenly frightened and broke into a cold sweat. A spaceship fell from the sky and quickly picked up Wu Miao. After receiving Wu Miao, the spaceship rushed straight towards the starship. Now Wu Miao is like a frightened bird. He can't stay in this damn ghost place for a moment. After receiving Wu Miao, the starship quickly left the atmosphere, then entered the space jump mode and left the wasteland galaxy. Seeing this scene, Chu Jiang also put away the firearm in his hand. Send these energy armors and high-powered swords to Stark Labs. Wild Hunting Emperor Wu Miao. As one of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors in Qinghai, he was actually defeated by Chu Jiang today. If you tell me this, no one will believe it. Chu Jiang also understood that Wu Miao today just led a group of cavalry. When we meet again, he may lead an entire fleet. I also need to expand my fleet as soon as possible. Fortunately, now I have successfully gathered the crystal fragments. As long as he can obtain the legacy of the old human empire, he can obtain 20 S-class Glory Queen-class battleships. By that time, the strength of your own fleet will definitely improve qualitatively. With 20 S-class Glory Queen-class battleships, even if they encounter the fleets of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, they can still fight. At this moment, a message suddenly popped up on the microcomputer in Chu Jiang's hand. Urgent notice, all interstellar voyagers who are still in the insect nest are asked to leave the surface of the planet immediately. The 3 notifications in a row also made Chu Jiang frown slightly. Because this news notification is an official notification from the Galaxy Star Alliance. What happened to cause the Galactic Covenant to make such a big fuss? Chapter 40, Are the Zerg also involved? Chu Jiang, I have heard of him. In the vast starry sky, a Virgil starship is also traveling in the endless galaxy. In the starship, Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao was lying in the medical cabin. At this moment, as long as Wu Miao closes her eyes, Chu Jiang's face will appear in her mind. That human almost caused Wu Miao to fall into the insect nest. Wu Miao originally thought that this operation was just an ordinary hunting. Just a team of cavalry and a starship are enough to recover the crystal fragments. But he happened to encounter Chu Jiang. Now not only was his equipment seized by Chu Jiang, but even the crystal fragments were taken away by him. What a shame. As one of the 8 recognized strong men in Qinghai, he was actually manipulated by a blue star human. At this moment, the medical cabin also performed preliminary treatment on his wounds. Wu Miao walked out of the medical cabin, and now his eyes fell on the special dagger. This special dagger has been installed by Wu Miao, and Wu Miao will always remember this special dagger as his own shame. I really don't know where this human being got the manufacturing method of this special dagger. Wu Miao touched her wound, although it had healed under the treatment of the medical cabin. But when the special dagger pierced his body, it forcibly blocked the movement of psychic energy. External injuries are easy to treat, but internal injuries caused by psychic energy need to be nursed back to health. During this period, Wu Miao could not use his psychic powers at will. At this moment, the adjutant also walked in. After seeing that Wu Miao's body had almost recovered, the adjutant breathed a sigh of relief. "What's wrong? What's the matter?" Wu Miao was in a very bad mood now, so her tone was a little unkind. And his adjutant quickly handed over a piece of information. "Reporting to the Great Emperor, we have just been notified that the Zerg troops are approaching the Wasteland Galaxy. I heard that this time there is a Dominator-level insect mother in the Zerg fleet. I feel that these Zerg are probably here for the crystal fragments in the King Zerg's body. In the Zerg system, the lowest level Zerg only have biological instincts. The King Insect level Zerg can possess the rudimentary beast intelligence and can command the lower level Zerg. Further up, there is the dominant level Insect Mother. The wisdom of the master level Insect Mother is the same as that of ordinary humans, or even smarter. It is precisely because of this that dominant level Insect Mothers usually stay in their own territory and do not go out easily. But now, the Zerg fleet is heading to the Wasteland Galaxy in a mighty manner. Are they attracted by the resources of the Wasteland Galaxy? No. The Wasteland Galaxy is located on the edge of the Milky Way, and its resources are extremely poor. Otherwise, these Zerg races have been developing for so long, and not even a Dominator-level Zerg mother has been born in the Wasteland Galaxy. So, they must have come to the Wasteland Galaxy for those crystal fragments. The crystal fragments collected by the King Insect are enough to locate the coordinates of the ruins. However, the intelligence of these King Insects is no different from that of wild beasts. It would be different if the crystal fragments fell into the hands of the Dominator-level Insect Mother. Wu Miao also frowned slightly. What's going on? It was clear that these Zerg had no interest in the legacy of the old human empire before, so why did they suddenly start collecting crystal fragments? Weird. I wonder what kind of medicine is being sold in these Zerg gourds. However, this matter has nothing to do with Wu Miao. The crystal fragment in his hand has been taken away by Chu Jiang. Now that he has no crystal fragment, it is even more difficult to find other crystal fragments. Now he has lost the qualification to compete for the inheritance. Let Chu Jiang fight with those bugs. On Chu Jiang's side, he also returned to the Spear of Adun through the group recall skill of the Spear of Adun. After returning to the Spear of Adun, Chu Jiang also went straight to the bridge. During his absence, Yun Qinghan also tried his best to help him take care of the internal situation of the Spear of Adun. After seeing Chu Jiang return, Yun Qinghan also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, you're back. Hearing this sentence, Chu Jiang was also a little strange. What happened on Hive Alpha? They actually asked the Galaxy Star Alliance to personally notify everyone to evacuate immediately. Yun Qinghan also turned on her microcomputer and sent the intelligence she collected to Chu Jiang. According to the news from the Galactic Covenant outpost, they also detected a wave of Zerg fleets heading towards the Wasteland Galaxy. The size of the Zerg fleet this time has reached thousands. Not only that, there is also a Dominator-level Insect Mother sitting in this fleet. When this Master-level Insect Mother arrives in the Wasteland Galaxy, it will be able to command all King Insects. The reason why the insect nest is so peaceful now is because there is no Master-level Insect Mother born among the King Insects, and the King Insects fight on their own. But if this Insect Mother comes to the Wasteland Galaxy, the situation will be completely different. When he said this, Chu Jiang also realized the seriousness of the problem. Once the Master-level Insect Mother arrives, the King Insect and the Zerg in the insect nest will definitely start to riot. At that point, dispelling Taco will have no effect at all. It's hard to imagine what would happen to those in the stronghold without the dispersing tower. Now the Galactic Covenant Alliance has begun to send a large number of spaceships to the surface strongholds to support them. But completely transferring the base is not something that can be solved in a short while. Moreover, they must not be too ostentatious. If a large spaceship is sent to respond, the system of the large spaceship will definitely attract the attention of the Zerg. Once they are targeted by those Zerg races, they will be in big trouble. At this moment, in the Covenant outpost in the Wasteland Galaxy, the person in charge of the outpost is also very worried. He never expected that the Wasteland Galaxy would be such a remote galaxy. Why did the Zerg suddenly focus on this barren land? Now, he has notified the Galactic Covenant headquarters. The Galaxy Star Alliance headquarters also immediately dispatched a fleet to provide support. But the biggest problem now is that the incident happened suddenly and most of the people in the stronghold have not been transferred yet. The spaceships at their outpost are also limited, and they don't have the strength to meet those people. The person in charge of the outpost was also as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. Although most of the people in the insect nest today were born as mercenaries. But there are also many planet lords who throw their children into insect nests for training in order to better adapt to the cruel star sea environment. If the children of these planet lords suddenly died in the insect nest, he would not be the person in charge. Are there any other fleets nearby? If so, we can hire them for a fee. Chapter 41, Asking for a Sky-High Price. I'll let you guys know what a great value it is. Sir, the ship of Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao seems to be nearby. Wild Hunting Emperor Wu Miao. Very good. That is one of the powerful men of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors of Shanghai. With him here, it wouldn't be a problem to annihilate those Zerg fleets, let alone those who saved the stronghold. But then, his staff poured cold water on him. But the Wild Hunt Emperor left the Wasteland system half an hour ago. We also sent him a distress signal, but the other party didn't respond. Hearing this answer, the person in charge of the outpost also scratched his head. Are there no other fleets in the Wasteland Galaxy now? But at this moment, the staff on the side spoke. Station Master, we just discovered that a starship is docked near Hive Alpha. What use can a starship be? Could it be an aircraft carrier? You know, among all the starships, only the aircraft carrier can accommodate enough spaceships on the starship. However, aircraft carriers generally appear in fleet formations. An aircraft carrier operating alone is a moving target for other ships. Therefore, the commander of the outpost thought that the starship was just a destroyer or a battleship. There are not many spacecrafts that can be accommodated on this starship. Just the number of spacecraft in one starship is not enough to solve their current problem. The staff hesitated for a while, and then sent the appearance of the starship to the station commander of the outpost. The commander of the current outpost couldn't help but widen his eyes after seeing the appearance of this starship. What kind of starship is this? Why have I never seen it before? Hiss, such a big starship, even an aircraft carrier can't compare to it. Whose ship is this starship? I need to meet the captain of this starship. At this time, the station master of the outpost also reacted quickly. If there were enough spaceships on this starship, wouldn't their current predicament be solved? Of course, if the captain of this starship has enough troops, he might be able to help them relieve the pressure caused by the insect swarm. Thinking of this, the station master of the outpost also quickly contacted Chu Jiang. At this moment, Chu Jiang was also in the Spear of Adun, looking at his system panel. Because he returned to the Spear of Adun and left the surface of Hive Alpha, the progress bar of his sign-in system also stopped immediately. Fortunately, leaving the surface of the planet Midway will only stop the sign-in progress bar, and will not directly fail the sign-in. At this moment, the Star Alliance outpost also sent a communication request to Chu Jiang. Chu Jiang hesitated for a moment and then connected the communication request. Hello, I am the station commander of the Covenant outpost. Are you the captain of this ship? It's me, what's the matter? The commander of the outpost opposite also made his request directly without any nonsense. That's right, because of the Zerg fleet, we are evacuating the people in the Zerg Nest stronghold. Now we need a large number of spaceships or other small transportation vehicles. We think you must have a lot of spaceships in reserve with this huge starship. Indeed, he was not wrong about this. Although there are very few transport spaceships on Chu Jiang's Spear of Adun, there are many Viking and Phoenix fighter jets responsible for the battle. The Star Forge produces a large number of Viking fighters and Phoenix fighters every day. Therefore, there are still many fighters inside the Spear of Adun. Can we offer you a good price to temporarily hire you to help us? Hire? How much do you plan to pay? When it comes to hiring, Chu Jiang is in high spirits. In order to maintain a starship as large as the Spear of Adun, he consumes a large amount of star coins every day. At the same time, every operation of the Star Forge and every data simulation in the Stark laboratory require star coins to support it. Although Chu Jiang earned a lot of star coins in the early stage, he also spent a lot on the Spear of Adun. Now, there is a great opportunity to make money in front of him, and he will naturally not let go of this good opportunity to make money. That's right, we can offer you 1 million star coins to hire you. You just need to help us and escort everyone in the stronghold to the outpost safely. Hearing that Chu Jiang was willing to help, the station master of the outpost was also happy. If someone could help them and escort everyone in the stronghold to the outpost, they would naturally be extremely happy. Now the Zerg fleet may arrive in the Wasteland Galaxy at any time. Once the Zerg fleet arrives, the entire Zerg nest will definitely become violent. By that time, they would not be able to retreat even if they wanted to. Chu Jiang touched his chin at this time. To be honest, 1 million star coins is not enough for him now. After thinking for a moment, Chu Jiang also said to the station master of the outpost, 1 million star coins is too little. 1 million star coins is too little. How much do you want? 10 million star coins. What? 10 million star coins. Chu Jiang's opening was priceless. The station master of the outpost widened his eyes. He didn't expect Chu Jiang to reveal such a sky-high price. Almost subconsciously, the station commander of the outpost was ready to curse. But at this moment, his men quickly stopped him. Webmaster, don't be impulsive. According to the news from the front line, the Zerg fleet will arrive at the Wasteland Galaxy in at most an hour. Right now, there are at least 100,000 people on Hive Alpha who have not yet evacuated. Among these 100,000 people, there are still a few children of planet lords inside. We must arrange for everyone to evacuate as soon as possible. After hearing these words, the station master of the outpost also took a deep breath. We can no longer delay now. If we continue to delay, the Zerg fleet will only arrive faster and faster. After thinking for a moment, the station master of the outpost also nodded. Okay. 10 million star coins is 10 million star coins. At worst, let the Galaxy Star Alliance reimburse you for the money afterwards. Chu Jiang also received part of the deposit directly. Chu Jiang also smiled when he saw that the other person was so happy. It just so happened that I also plan to go to Insect Nest Alpha to complete the sign-in task. It's great now, you can sign in and make extra money at the same time. Don't worry, I will definitely let you know what value for money means. Therefore, Chu Jiang immediately gathered his troops and prepared to return to the surface of Hive Alpha. At the Covenant outpost, the station master also felt heartbroken. That's 10 million star coins. Go and find out who this human being named Chu Jiang is. 10 million star coins were spent like this. Chapter 42, Weird, so weird. The double bombing of Viking and Phoenix. Within the Solar Federation, many planet lords also received news from the Galaxy Alliance. As a member of the Galactic Star Alliance, an emergency meeting was also held within the Solar Federation. Many planet lords also gathered together and began to discuss countermeasures. The Zerg fleet is now approaching the Wasteland Galaxy. It is initially estimated that the fleet size is around 1,000 insect ships. Moreover, once the Zerg fleet arrives in the Wasteland Galaxy, the king bugs on the surface will definitely riot. According to reliable information, the Zerg's target this time is likely to be the crystal fragments on those king insects. These crystal fragments are related to the heritage coordinates of the old human empire. Once obtained by the Zerg, the consequences will be disastrous. Since the birth of the Zerg race, it has been the recognized enemy of the Star Sea race. They are greedy and cruel, and any planet they target will eventually become the nourishment of the insect nest. Therefore, no one can take the Zerg lightly. Zhong'an sat there and couldn't help but frown after hearing this information. 1,000 insect ships, this is considered a big deal for the Zerg. But their purpose is puzzling. For the legacy of an old human empire. The scale of the Zerg is now comparable to the most powerful race in the entire universe. Will such a Zerg value the legacy of a vanished civilization? Strange. Too strange. Zhong'an. At this moment, the chairman of the conference also interrupted Zhong'an's thinking. Zhong'an also responded immediately. Are you confident about the Wasteland Galaxy's fight against the Zerg this time? Let him fight against the Zerg. Zhong'an only thought for a moment and responded immediately. Although for him personally, it is completely impossible to annihilate the Zerg fleet of 1,000 bug ships. But you must know that this matter was sent by the Galaxy Star Alliance. The Galactic Star Alliance will also send a large number of reinforcements. At that time, he only needs to follow these reinforcements to fight against the Zerg fleet. This was a completely free opportunity to gain military exploits, and Zhong'an had no reason to refuse. Besides, fighting against the Zerg is the obligation that all Star Sea races should fulfill. The Hive Alpha surface stronghold on the other side. Many Star Sea races gathered near the airport, and the Covenant soldiers stationed at the stronghold were constantly maintaining order and security around them. When will the next transport plane arrive? Damn it. If I had known, I would have flown the spaceship here by myself, and now I can't leave even if I want to. Mater, can you let me get on the boat first? The Zerg will be here soon. Can the people from the Covenant be faster? You all get out of the way, let me go first, I'm the son of Lord Bain Star. You're not even a beast, first come, first served, do you understand? If you cut in line, I'll screw your head off. Among the team, a large number of mercenaries were mixed with the children of other planet lords. These mercenaries also knew very well that the reason why the Star Alliance did not give up on them immediately was because the children of these planet lords were still here. Once the children of these planet lords are transferred away, the Covenant will most likely not save them again. Therefore, some mercenaries also deliberately pushed the children of these planet lords to the back of the team so that they could not board the escape ship immediately. Damn. Why haven't the next batch of spaceships arrived yet? The Galactic Covenant Alliance is already arranging a new batch of escape ships. I'm really convinced. Why doesn't the Galaxy Alliance arrange more spaceships? Who would have thought that the Zerg would suddenly launch an attack on the Wasteland Galaxy? At this moment, the shadow of a huge transport spacecraft appeared in the sky. When everyone saw this huge transport spacecraft, their eyes could not help but widen. What's the situation? Is that idiot piloting this transport spacecraft? Doesn't he know that the bigger the body, the easier it is to attract the attention of the Zerg? But then, the scene that shocked them even more was yet to come. Several more transport spaceships fell from the sky. These transport spaceships were huge and numerous. From the ground, these transport spacecraft look particularly dazzling in the sky. I wonder, what planes are those guys from the Galactic Covenant using? With so many large transport spaceships, are they planning to cause an insect wave? It's finished. I seem to have seen these transport ships being eaten up by the Zerg. Are those guys from the Galactic Covenant Alliance idiots? Don't you know that this will not only fail to transport people safely, but will also attract the attention of a large number of Zergs? It's simply a waste of manpower and material resources. What on earth were they thinking? As expected, these large and numerous transport spacecraft also attracted the attention of a large number of Zerg. I saw a cloud of insects gathering on the horizon. A large number of insects gathered together, and the number exceeded 1 million almost instantly. These Zerg are heading towards those transport spaceships. Such a huge swarm of insects can eat up a transport spacecraft almost in an instant. At this time, Chu Jiang was sitting in the cockpit of a transport spacecraft. Looking at the approaching swarm of insects, Chu Jiang also showed a smile as if his plan had succeeded. The fish has taken the bait. Viking fighters, Phoenix fighters, all dispatch. As soon as he finished speaking, several Phoenix fighter jets descended on the battlefield like meteors in the clouds. The moment it saw the swarm of insects, the twin ion cannons equipped by the Phoenix fighter immediately started operating. The powerful ion energy fell into the insect swarm and immediately exploded among the insect swarm. For a time, a large number of vacancies appeared among the insect swarm. But these vacancies are nothing to the huge insect swarm. Almost instantly, these vacancies were filled by other insect swarms. However, Chu Jiang's preparations go beyond that. The next second, a large number of Viking fighters also appeared. Whoosh! 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 With the appearance of Viking fighters, a large number of wave-breaking missiles flew towards the insect swarm like meteors. The wave-breaking missile exploded among the insect swarms, and the subatomic shrapnel contained in it also exploded like fireworks. The insect swarm was hit again, but before they could react, the Phoenix fighter planes attacked closely behind. All of a sudden, a large number of plasma cannonballs and wave-breaking missiles exploded among the insect swarm. Countless Zerg corpses fell from the sky like a torrential rain. Everyone on the ground couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw the swarm of insects being bombarded by Phoenix and Viking fighters in turn like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. I wonder are these fighters from the Galactic Alliance? This is too fierce. How is it possible? If the Galactic Star Alliance has such a powerful air force, why would they allow those Zerg to continue to wreak havoc? Chapter 43, This is against the rules. I am the rule. Why do you care so much? These insect swarms pose no threat to us now. Can't we just leave on a large transport ship? Yes, without the interference of the insect swarm, wouldn't we be able to use large transport ships at will? Great, if we use a large transport ship, we can all get out of here. Stop squeezing, the transport ship comes down and everyone can leave. Boom. 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 In the sky, more and more Phoenix fighters appear. Viking fighter planes also joined the battlefield one after another. The sky above the stronghold is now occupied by dense Phoenix fighters and Viking fighters. They have absolute air superiority. The numbers that the swarm is proud of are nothing to be afraid of in front of the Phoenix and Viking fighters. The wave-breaking missiles of the Viking fighter planes alone are enough to make those swarms drink a pot. At this moment, the first transport spacecraft landed in the airport. Seeing the transport spacecraft landing, everyone suddenly became excited. Get out of the way, I am the son of the planet lord, let me go first. The one you are particularly worried about is the grandfather of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, and now you have to be pushed to the back of the queue for me. I've been queuing here for a long time, it's about time I get on the spaceship. Stop squeezing, come one by one, there are so many transport spaceships waiting, so panic. The Covenant soldiers responsible for evacuating the crowd at the airport looked at the transport spacecraft in front of them and looked at each other in confusion. They didn't remember there were so many transport ships at the outpost. Moreover, the paintings on these transport spacecraft are not the logo of their Galactic Covenant Alliance. Whose troops are these transport spaceships and those fighter planes in the sky? But now, Covenant soldiers are certain. With these transport ships and those powerful fighter planes, they may really be able to transport everyone out before the Zerg fleet arrives. At this moment, the hatch of the transport spacecraft also opened. A large number of well-equipped pilot warriors also came out of the transport spacecraft. Finally, Chu Jiang also appeared in everyone's sight. Chu Jiang looked at the many Shanghai races who were looking forward to it outside the guardrail, and then shouted to the people around him. Everyone, I'm the person hired by the Galactic Star Alliance to escort you safely out of the insect nest. I have hundreds of large transport spaceships under my command, which are enough to escort you out in a short time. At the same time, I also have powerful air forces that can always eliminate the swarms of insects that come to cause trouble. If you want to leave here quickly, you must obey my arrangements. At this moment, Chu Jiang figured out the only way to leave the planet. No matter how arrogant they were before, all the planetary races quickly lined up. Everyone in the team stared at Chu Jiang nervously, but did not dare to make any sound for fear that they would be left here by Chu Jiang. Seeing this, Chu Jiang also nodded with satisfaction. Be prepared to arrange for these people to board the ship. After the arrangements were made, Chu Jiang also said this to the surrounding Star Alliance members who were responsible for the evacuation work. Those members of the Star Alliance immediately understood, and many Star Sea races also boarded the transport spacecraft one after another. It has to be said that with the large transport spacecraft under Chu Jiang, the efficiency of evacuation has indeed improved a lot. After one round, almost half of the races in the Star Sea were sent back to the outpost. The remaining Star Sea races were also a little anxious when they saw the transport spacecraft taking off. The later they leave here now, the more likely they are to be attacked by the Zerg. They don't want to be eaten up by those Zerg. At this moment, a Star Sea race with quick eyesight and quick hands jumped over the fence and rushed in. I am the son of Lord Luochen Star. I will give you money, but please let me get out of here first. As he said that, the son of the planet lord also looked at Chu Jiang. Give money? A wicked smile suddenly appeared on Chu Jiang's face. Then how much can you pay? As soon as these words came out, the eyes of the son of the lord of the opposite planet also lit up. There's drama. I was in a hurry, so I brought 200,000 star coins. 200,000 star coins. Chu Jiang touched his chin, also hesitant. Seeing Chu Jiang's hesitation, the son of the planet lord also said quickly, I can make an IOU and ask my father to give you the money when the time comes. That's fine. As soon as these words came out, The sons of planet lords in the crowd also jumped out one after another. I also have money, I can give you 500,000 star coins. 1,000,000 star coins, let me get on the boat first. I can also issue an IOU. Please, let me get on the boat first. For a moment, those Star Sea races were stunned. Is this still possible? They don't have any money. If these young men run away, they will have no hope of leaving here. At this moment, one of the Star Sea races also shouted. Sir, this is against the rules. Why can they spend money to leave here first, but if we don't have money, we can only wait here to die? That's right. Everyone is equal, we can't leave, they must stay here too. For a time, many races in the Star Sea began to become restless. Even the guardrails around the airport began to become shaky as a result. Seeing this, even the Covenant soldiers were a little panicked. Once the order is broken and people become unequal, riots will arise. Boom. At this moment, a gunshot suddenly rang out. The Shanghai race that shouted first also had a bullet hole at its feet. Chu Jiang raised the high-powered pistol in his hand with an indifferent expression. Rules. The fighter planes in the sky are mine, and the transport spaceships on the ground are also mine. What rules do you want? I'm the rules. Throw this guy to the very back, otherwise none of you will be able to board the ship. As soon as these words came out, many Star Sea races were immediately suppressed. The Shanghai race who was taught a lesson was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly became furious. You are so stupid, you dare to shoot at me, you really think that I want to become a vegetarian? After saying that, the Star Sea race took out a kinetic energy rifle from his back. The Star Sea races in this stronghold are either mercenaries or hunters. They possess a large number of weapons, and once they riot, the consequences will be disastrous. This is also the reason why members of the Star Alliance have always dared not act rashly. But the next second, a huge figure fell from the sky. The smoke cleared, and a Titan mecha stood in front of the Star Sea race, with a grenade machine gun pressed against his head. Looking at the grenade machine gun with a muzzle larger than his own head, the Shanghai race, who had been extremely arrogant just now, suddenly became extremely honest at this moment. Chapter 44, Emperor Gene Seed. The King Insect riots, the Master comes. Brother, I was just kidding. Don't be impulsive, I'll get to the back of the team right now. Be careful, don't let it go off. The Shanghai race that was extremely arrogant just now is like a dejected mouse, running directly to the end of the team. And the crowds along the way also automatically gave way to him. Facing Titan's grenade machine guns, they really didn't dare to make mistakes. Now, if you line up obediently, there is still a chance of escape. But if he was killed by Titan's grenade machine gun, he would really have to meet the King of Hell. For a while, the originally unruly Shanghai race stood there obediently, not daring to complain at all. Not long after, Chu Jiang also collected a lot of star coins. It has to be said that although these children of planet lords are out for training, they still have a lot of star coins with them. Chu Jiang's pocket soon bulged. Just when Chu Jiang was enjoying collecting money, a familiar voice sounded again. Little brother. It's me. I'm Lao Huang. Among the crowd, Lao Huang, who had previously sold information to Chu Jiang, was trying his best to squeeze his way through. Seeing this, Chu Jiang also waved his hand, indicating to the Star Alliance members to let Lao Huang in. When he first arrived at the stronghold, if Lao Huang hadn't provided him with information, he probably wouldn't have been able to collect enough crystal fragments so quickly. After Lao Huang walked into the airport, he jogged all the way to Chu Jiang's side. Seeing that Lao Huang still looked sloppy, Chu Jiang also smiled. Old Huang, you have earned so many star coins from me, but you don't know how to change your outfit. Lao Huang chuckled and immediately answered. I'm used to being sloppy, and that's fine. Randomly, Lao Huang quietly came to Chu Jiang's ear. Little brother, I have the latest information here. Since we are both acquaintances, I will tell you for free. Oh. The latest information. Hearing this sentence, Chu Jiang also became interested. After all, the information provided by Lao Huang was of great help to him. Other intelligence dealers generally have some incomplete information. But this old Huang's information was not only comprehensive, but even accurate at an astonishing 100%. Therefore, Chu Jiang still has a very high credibility for the information sold by Lao Huang. Let me tell you, this time the Zerg came to the Wasteland Galaxy with great fanfare, just to recover the crystal fragments in the King Worm's body. These Zerg also want to gather 4 crystal fragments and obtain the coordinates of the legacy of the old human empire. Hearing these words, Chu Jiang had doubts in his heart. That is, if the Zerg were really interested in the legacy of the old human empire, they would have sent a fleet to recover the crystal fragments long ago. But they didn't. Now that the insect nest has grown for so long, they suddenly came to collect the crystal fragments. Is it possible that they know the function of crystal fragments? If these Zerg really want to collect crystal fragments, then why are they taking action now? As soon as these words came out, Lao Huang's face suddenly became very serious. This is the most critical point, because someone recently spread a piece of news. That is, among the legacy of the old human empire, apart from the 20 S-class Glory Queen-class battleships, there is another thing that exists. And this thing is exactly what makes the Zerg race go crazy. What could make the Zerg race crazy about it? At this time, Chu Jiang was completely interested. This thing is the genetic seed of the Emperor, the ruler of the old human empire. Hiss. As soon as these words came out, Chu Jiang couldn't help but take a breath of air. The Emperor's gene seed. You know, the Emperor is a legendary figure who single-handedly established the old human empire. At the same time, he is also the last legendary figure in human history. According to legend, the Emperor is omniscient and omnipotent, lighting up the entire human world like an open flame during the dark ages of the universe. He used his endless knowledge to help mankind complete the awakening of spiritual energy and advance science and technology. That era is the era of mankind. The power of the human empire has never been greater. But it was such a powerful human empire that suddenly disappeared in just 100 years. This era of mankind came to an end so suddenly, and no one knew the reason. And now, the Emperor's gene seed is born again. No wonder the Zerg were so excited. That was the Emperor's gene seed. Once you obtain his gene seed, you might be able to become the leader of the next era. At this moment, Chu Jiang's heart was also burning. It turns out that in addition to the 20 S-class Glory Queen-class battleships, the legacy actually also contains the Emperor's gene seeds. That is the Emperor's gene seed, a legend in human history. At this time, Lao Huang also said to Chu Jiang very seriously. Now, among the people I know, you are the only one who has collected 4 crystal fragments and knows the coordinates. Promise me that you will never let the Emperor's gene seeds fall into the hands of the Zerg. Once the Zerg obtain the Emperor's gene seed, the entire universe will fall into the dark ages again. This is no longer just a matter of human honor, it is an issue of the safety of the entire universe. No one realizes the terrifying power of the Emperor's gene seeds. Chu Jiang looked at the serious Lao Huang and said with certainty, "Don't worry, since I already know about this, I will never let the Zerg compete with me for inheritance." At this moment, the sky around the stronghold suddenly darkened. Everyone also looked at the sky, and saw several huge king insects rising into the sky on the distant horizon. Around them, a large number of Zerg followed closely behind. What's the situation? Why did these king insects suddenly appear? Suddenly, everyone started to panic. On the other side, in the outpost, the station master also looked pale. I saw a huge wormhole appearing in the Wasteland Galaxy. A Zerg with huge fangs also emerged from the wormhole. Along with its appearance, a large number of Zerg ships also appeared in the wormhole behind it. This is an insect-eating insect. The insect-eating insect is a unique creature of the Zerg tribe. This insect-eating insect can easily create a short-lived and stable wormhole. The Zerg fleet can pass through the wormhole created by the insect eater and quickly reach its destination through the wormhole before the space jump has cooled down. At this moment, the outpost commander looked pale. He actually ignored the existence of insect-eating insects among the Zerg. The Zerg fleet arrived in the Wasteland Galaxy an hour early. Chapter 45, Where is my king insect? Take a deep breath, this is all normal. Damn. These Zerg are so cunning. They actually use devouring insects. Now we are in big trouble. Be aware that the Zerg fleet may arrive later than expected. But if the Zerg fleet arrives early, there will be big trouble. The support from the Galactic Covenant to deal with the Zerg fleet is still on the way. By the time these supports arrive here, it is estimated that the Zerg fleet has already recovered the crystal fragments and left. The station master of the outpost also immediately reported the news to the Galactic Covenant Alliance. All of a sudden, all the Galactic Covenant fleets on the way received the news. The Zerg fleet arrived at the Wasteland Galaxy 1 hour ahead of schedule. At this moment, among the Zerg flagships, the master-level insect mother also began to connect with the king insect on the insect nest planet. As a master-level insect mother, it has absolute command over these king insects. However, when it connected to the king insect on the surface, it felt something was wrong. On the surface of Insect Nest Alpha, many king insects also felt the presence of the master-level insect mother. The king insects that had been hiding to ensure their own safety also appeared one after another. The king insects that had been fighting each other before felt the presence of the master-level insect mother, and they all chose to cease fighting. A large number of king insects also appeared one after another, and the insect swarms under their command also became active. The entire insect nest seemed to be activated, and a large number of insect swarms appeared. Everyone in the stronghold turned pale after seeing a large number of insect swarms appearing. Why did these king insects suddenly start a riot? But at this time, when Chu Jiang saw these king insects, instead of being afraid, he showed a smile. "Old Huang, tell me, if I kill all these king insects, will the crystal fragments in their bodies also disappear?" "What? How does Chu Jiang deal with these king insects?" After hearing Chu Jiang's plan, Lao Huang was also a little surprised. "You know, the Zerg came here just to collect crystal fragments. The crystal fragments are on the king insects. If these king insects die, the Zerg will naturally be unable to recover those crystal fragments. But the key is that the number of these king insects reaches hundreds or so. It is not an easy task to eliminate all these king insects. The number of insect swarms around these king insects alone totals around tens of millions. An outbreak of such a terrifying number of insect swarms is no small matter." But Chu Jiang was very confident that he had no way of finding these king insects when they were hiding. Now this time, under the summons of the master-level insect mother, the king insects also revealed their figures one after another. This saves money. Chu Jiang looks for it everywhere. Moreover, I don't need to worry now. When I kill the king insect, the crystal fragments will be destroyed. His goal this time is to destroy all the crystal fragments. Once the purpose changes, the difficulty of dealing with these king insects will be a piece of cake for Chu Jiang. Chu Jiang also immediately turned on his microcomputer. Yun Qinghan, who was waiting for Chu Jiang's return in the Spear of Adun, also received news from Chu Jiang. "Qinghan, you go to the bridge immediately and follow my instructions. Control the sun's rays and lock on the target I provide you. Remember, you must launch according to my coordinates." With that said, Chu Jiang also sent a few coordinates to Yun Qinghan. After Yun Qinghan received these coordinates, he also left and came to the bridge. She also followed Chu Jiang's instructions and opened the sun ray function panel. Then, she fed all the coordinates Chu Jiang gave him into the panel. Ding, the solar rays are ready. Ding, coordinate instructions have been received. Ding, we are locking the ground coordinates and preparing for surface support. Just when Chu Jiang sent the coordinates to Yun Qinghan, many star sea races here began to become restless. Now that the king insects have appeared, no matter how powerful the dispersing tower is. Faced with so many king insects and dense swarms of insects, the power of a dispersing tower is not enough to be feared. Once these king insects break through the blockade of the dispersing tower, it will be their end. It's over. Now that the king insects have appeared, it's even more impossible for us to leave here. Damn it, didn't you say it would be some time before the Zerg fleet arrives in the Wasteland Galaxy? Why are these king bugs starting to riot now? What should we do next? Are we going to wait here to die? Look at the swarms of insects outside the stronghold. If you go out now, you will be dead. And Chu Jiang looked at the many Shanghai races in front of him with a calm expression. In the sky above them, Phoenix fighters and Viking fighters continued to fire. Precisely because of the existence of these fighters, at least for now, the stronghold is not at risk of falling. Chu Jiang glanced at the swarm of insects outside, and his eyes also fell on a few king insects. It should be time. Whoosh! Suddenly, a solar ray fell from the sky like a sharp sword. The blazing sun's rays directly burned one of the king insects to ashes. Immediately afterwards, the sun's rays began to move continuously, and countless insect swarms were burned to ashes wherever they passed. The smell of burnt flesh and blood also spread along the wind. Many Star Sea races stared wide-eyed and couldn't believe it. 1 second they were still afraid of the threat of the king insect, and the next second, the king insect, which was like the end of the world to him, was burned to ashes by a solar ray. What the hell is this? The Covenant soldiers also stared wide-eyed, unable to believe what was happening in front of them. The king insect was just evaporated by a ray. At this time, Chu Jiang patted one of the Covenant soldiers on the shoulder. "Take a deep breath, these are my methods. I said, I will escort everyone out safely. I don't have many merits as a person, but I am absolutely honest. I said I'd send you out, so I'll send you out. Even if the king insect comes, I won't be able to stop you." As soon as he finished speaking, 2 more sun rays fell from the sky. The 2 solar rays moved crazily on the ground, and several king insects were unable to dodge and were directly evaporated by the solar rays. Seeing those king insects evaporated instantly, the Covenant soldiers couldn't help but swallowed and looked at Chu Jiang. Who is this young man? Not only do they have such powerful mecha troops, they even have such powerful weapons. At this time, a Covenant soldier also saw through the telescope several king insects carrying swarms of insects towards them. Oops. A king insect is coming towards us. Oh. There was actually a king insect that came to the door. Chu Jiang smiled faintly and then waved his hand. The pilot troops under his command suddenly understood. Chapter 46, One knife kills you in seconds, what is there to say? Titan Ronin is ready. Titan Power is ready. Titan Polaris is ready. Many pilots also entered their own Titans. Titan is also more flexible and powerful after being driven by pilot. At this time, the heavy-armored king insect also came to Chu Jiang with a large number of insect swarms. The heavily armored king insect is covered in black carapace. The defensive power of this creature's carapace is even stronger than the armor on the ship. Among all king insects, the heavy-armored king insect has the strongest defense. The heavily armored king insect was seen attacking the stronghold's defense line like a chariot. The Covenant soldiers responsible for the defense of the stronghold also quickly raised their firearms and opened fire. Crackling. A large number of bullets fell on the heavily armored king insect. But these bullets were instantly bounced off by the hard shell of the heavy-armored king insect, without even leaving a trace on the carapace of the heavy-armored king insect. Seeing this scene, the faces of many Star Alliance soldiers also changed drastically. Damn it. Our bullets have no effect on the king insect. Rumble. The heavily armored king insect couldn't do anything to it when it saw the other side, and it became even more crazy. I saw it getting faster and faster, like a crazy bull. But at this moment, a huge figure directly crossed the defense line and landed directly in front of the heavily armored king insect. The Ronin Titan fell directly between the heavily armored Overlord and the Covenant defense line. Brush. The next second, Ronin Titan slashed directly with an arc wave. The arc wave containing endless thunder fell directly on the heavily armored king insect. The charging heavy armored king insect felt a tremor all over his body. Immediately afterwards, the heavily armored king insect's limbs became weak and fell directly to the ground. The powerful impact caused the heavily armored king insect to roll forward more than 10 meters. The heavily armored king insect who came back to his senses also set his sights on the Ronin Titan. The Ronin Titan took a step back and disappeared directly in front of the heavy armored king insect in the next second. The heavily armored king insect was stunned. Why did such a big mecha suddenly disappear? Whoosh! When the Ronin Titan appeared again, it was already behind the heavily armored king insect. The heavy armored king insect couldn't believe how the mecha on the opposite side suddenly appeared behind him. But at this time, even if it reacted, it was too late. The Ronin Titan raised the alloy sword in his hand and pierced the body of the heavy armored king insect with one blow. The armor that the heavily armored king insect is proud of is completely vulnerable to the Ronin Titan. Buffed. For a moment, the body of the heavily armored king insect was cut in half by the Ronin mecha. Seeing this scene, the Covenant soldiers widened their eyes and couldn't believe it. You know, the defense of the heavily armored king insect is such that even their bullets cannot cause any damage to it. But the mecha that suddenly appeared in front of me split the heavy-armored king insect in half in less than a minute. That's the king insect. In front of this mecha, it seems to be no different from an ordinary insect. At this moment, the insect swarm in the sky suddenly became extremely violent because of the death of the king insect. The dense swarm of insects went crazy and attacked Ronin Titan directly. No, those swarms of insects are heading towards that mecha. With so many insect swarms, no matter how powerful that mecha is, there's no way it can deal with it. It's finished, let's go support it. Before he finished speaking, another huge figure fell into the battlefield. The Ion Titan fell from the sky and landed directly on the earth. The laser core is ready. Boom. A laser beam burst out from the Ion Titan's body. The laser light falls directly into the insect swarm. Any insect that touches the laser light will turn into ashes and dissipate into the air almost instantly. The Ion Titan kept approaching the insect swarm, and those violent insect swarms suffered heavy losses under the Ion Titan's bombardment. Boom. 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 Several more Titans joined the battlefield. Under the suppression of the Titan mechas, these insect swarms were unable to get even close to the stronghold's defense line. The Zerg were retreating steadily, and even the king worm seemed so vulnerable in front of these Titans. Seeing the Titan mechas slaughtering the Zerg indiscriminately on the battlefield, many Covenant soldiers were also amazed. I thought there was only one such powerful mecha, but I didn't expect there were so many. Whose troops are these mechas? If we have these mechas, why should we be afraid of the threat of the Zerg? Look at the painting on the mecha, it should be that young man's unit called Chu Jiang. Hiss. What is the origin of this young man? Not only does he have so many powerful fighters, but the ground troops also have such powerful mecha troops. After learning that these mechas were also Chu Jiang's troops, many Covenant soldiers couldn't believe it. So many powerful fighters and mechas all belong to Chu Jiang. At the edge of the Wasteland Galaxy, the master-level insect mother senses the king insect on the surface of the insect nest. It issued an order for these king insects to gather, and then waited for it to send troops to recover the crystal fragments. However, the master-level insect mother discovered that king insects suddenly disappeared one after another in its connection network. At this time, the king insect suddenly disappeared. There was only one possibility, that is, he was killed. Are the Covenant Alliance on the surface of the hive so powerful? In this short period of time, dozens of king insects were killed. The dominant insect mother also felt something was wrong. If these king insects are killed by the opponent, it will definitely be difficult to recover the crystal fragments in their bodies. Send ground troops immediately to recover the crystal fragments from the surface of the insect nest. You must move quickly. Under the order of the Overlord-level insect mother, the Zerg fleet immediately dispatched a large number of ground troops towards the surface of Hive Alpha. At this time, Chu Jiang on the surface of the insect nest finally sent away the last person. In other words, there will be no other living things on the surface of this planet except Zerg. Ding, congratulations on your successful sign-in, reward, 20 Moon-class cruisers. Ding, congratulations on your successful sign-in, reward, 3,000 Thunder Warriors. At this moment, the system's prompt tone also sounded. The system sign-in is also completed at this time. The evacuation of people has been completed, and even the sign-in has been completed. At this time, Chu Jiang also smiled lightly, get ready to retreat. Hearing these words, Lao Huang was slightly startled. Retreat now. The crystal fragments in these king bugs have not been completely recovered. Wouldn't it be easier for the bugs to retreat now? Retreat. Don't you plan to continue hunting these king insects? Chapter 47, I have landed and feel good. Sun bombing. How is that possible? I won't let those Zerg get the crystal fragments. However, the efficiency of hunting these king insects is too low now. I have a more efficient way to remove them. This method of elimination is enough to kill all the king insects. A more efficient way to clean up. As soon as these words came out, Lao Huang looked at Chu Jiang with some curiosity. He was a little curious as to what other powerful means this young man had. Subsequently, Chu Jiang also immediately used the group recall of the Spear of Adun to recall all the troops inside the Spear of Adun. After returning to the Spear of Adun, Chu Jiang also went straight to the bridge. After arriving at the bridge, Chu Jiang immediately turned on the radar of the Spear of Adun. When he turned on the radar, he was also shocked to find that the Zerg fleet had arrived at the edge of the wasteland galaxy. The Zerg fleet. Chu Jiang couldn't help but frown slightly after seeing these Zerg fleets. According to the information from the Galactic Covenant Alliance, the Zerg fleet should arrive in the wasteland system in an hour. But now, the Zerg fleet has appeared in the wasteland galaxy. It is estimated that it was the early arrival of the Zerg fleet that caused the king insects on the surface of the Zerg hive planet to begin to riot. I didn't expect that these Zerg fleets would arrive so early. He has to move faster. If the Zerg fleet successfully recovers the crystal fragments, all his previous efforts will be wasted. At this moment, Chu Jiang also discovered on the radar that a group of Zerg ground troops also broke away from the Zerg fleet and headed towards the surface of the Zerg hive planet. Apparently, these are the Zerg that the Dominator-level insect mother sent to the ground to recover the crystal fragments. At this time, Lao Huang also followed the group recall skills and followed Chu Jiang back to the Spear of Adun. Lao Huang looked at the structure of the Spear of Adun, with a hint of shock in his eyes. The Protoss Doomsday Ark, hasn't it been destroyed by the Zerg? I feel the presence of the ship soul, that's it. I didn't expect that since you were able to awaken the ship soul of the Spear of Adun, I really saw the right person. Hearing these words, Chu Jiang turned to look at Lao Huang curiously. Old Huang actually recognizes the Spear of Adun. You know, along the way, basically no one can recognize the Spear of Adun. In their eyes, the Spear of Adun is just a huge starship. But Lao Huang not only saw the true nature of the starship, he even knew that it was constructed from Chu Jiang's awakened ship soul. Old Huang, do you know the Spear of Adun? Hearing Chu Jiang's question, Lao Huang also smiled and said very proudly. I am not an ordinary information dealer. I still know this bit of information. Not only do I know that your ship is the Spear of Adun, I also know that the Protoss built a total of 3 Doomsday Arks. And now, in addition to your Spear of Adun, the other 2 Doomsday Arks are about to be activated. Chu Jiang was also a little surprised when he heard the news. In addition to the Spear of Adon, the other 2 Doomsday Arks will also be activated. Interesting. Chu Jiang discovered that Lao Huang, an intelligence dealer, knew more than ordinary intelligence. Actually, even the 3 Doomsday Arks of the Protoss are known about it. However, Chu Jiang's current thoughts are not on Lao Huang's information. Now, what I have to do is to clear out all the king insects on the insect nest. Open the weapon control panel and prepare to start solar bombing. Chu Jiang opened the Spear of Adun weapon control panel and directly activated the solar bombing mode. Suddenly, the core power system of the entire Spear of Adun also began to operate. The core of the sun burst out with extremely terrifying energy, and the powerful energy was also injected into the body of the Spear of Adun. Solar bombing is ready. Locking the bombing target. Locked, ready to launch at any time. At this moment, the surface of the insect nest planet. A large number of king insects, under the command of the master-level insect mother, also gathered at the stronghold once built by the Star Alliance. Many king insects gathered together and ignored the strong electromagnetic waves emitted by the dispersing tower. Subsequently, many king insects directly destroyed the dispersing tower. Immediately afterwards, many king insects also looked to the sky, waiting for the Zerg ground troops to come to recover the crystal fragments on their bodies. At this moment, the Zerg ground troops also slowly landed on the surface of the planet in a bug ship. Many escorting Zerg also walked out of the insect ship. Although these Zerg are not powerful in combat, they possess extremely high intelligence and can complete a series of instructions issued by the Dominator-level insect mother. Many Zerg soldiers also ordered the king insects to donate the crystal fragments on their bodies. And many king insects also contributed the crystal fragments they collected without any hesitation. Report to the insect mother, the crystal fragments have been recovered. Among the Zerg flagships, the Dominator-level insect mother also received news from the ground troops. The crystal fragments have been recovered. In this way, they will know the coordinates of the legacy of the old human empire. Bring me the crystal shards immediately. Yes. Very good. Apparently, my previous worries were overblown. Now that the crystal fragments have been obtained, the Dominator-level insect mother has gradually relaxed her vigilance. But at this moment, the Spear of Adun also appeared above the insect nest. Chu Jiang looked at the insect nest planet in front of him, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. How can it be so easy to take away the crystal fragments? Solar bombing is ready and can be launched at any time. What are you waiting for now? Launch directly. Boom. The solar bombing started, and a large amount of ultra-high temperature plasma also attacked the surface of the insect nest planet like meteors. However, many Zerg species on the surface of the insect nest have not yet realized that the danger is coming. The Zerg responsible for recycling the crystal fragments also collected the crystal fragments. Subsequently, many Zerg also boarded the Zerg ship and prepared to return to the flagship. But at this moment, a burst of ultra-high temperature plasma hit the insect ship directly and hard. Boom. Almost instantly, the insect ship exploded. The surrounding king insects were immediately stunned. What's the situation? They just handed over the crystal shards and suddenly they exploded. But in the next second, many king insects reacted. In the sky, numerous ultra-high temperature plasmas attacked them like meteors. Boom. 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 Shot after shot of ultra-high temperature plasma fell on the surface of the planet. The powerful energy directly lifted the Earth, burning everything around it. Many king insects were frightened and fled in all directions, but the range of the solar bombardment was the entire surface of the planet. Chapter 48, The Hatred Value is Full. He didn't leave, but blew up the insect nest. Boom. 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 A large amount of ultra-high temperature plasma also poured out from the Spear of Adun. These ultra-high temperature plasmas exploded on the surface of the planet. Not to mention the king insects, even the insect swarms under their command could not escape death. More and more ultra-high temperature plasma fell, and the entire surface of the nest became pitted. At this moment, the dominant insect mother in the Zerg flagship is immersed in the joy of successfully recovering crystal fragments. But at this moment, the Zerg ground troops suddenly lost their spiritual connection with it. Not only that, even at this moment, a large number of king insects have lost their spiritual connection with it. At this moment, the dominant level insect mother felt that something was wrong. What happened to the insect nest? Let me investigate immediately. Careless. I thought that after the ground troops successfully recovered the crystal fragments, this matter would be solved perfectly. But unexpectedly, the other party actually chose to catch them all in one fell swoop. At this time, not only did he lose many king insects, but all the ground troops he sent out were wiped out. At this time, the Euglena also transmitted the influence near the insect nest to the dominator-level insect mother through the ship's image. When the dominant insect mother saw the image near the insect nest, she almost exploded in anger. The Spear of Adun is still conducting solar bombardment on the surface of the insect nest. The entire insect nest has almost been bombed by him. Under such bombing, even a blade of grass on the ground would have a hard time surviving. But at this time, the Dominator-class insect mother carefully observed the starship and couldn't help but change her expression. Because it recognized the origin of this starship. One of the 3 doomsday arcs of the Protoss tribe, the Spear of Adun. Damn it. Why did the Protoss doomsday arc appear here? We clearly destroyed all 3 doomsday arcs back then. How come it still appears here now? Furthermore, the remnants of the Protoss clan are now active in the Outer Realm. How could they appear in the Milky Way? Brainworm. Get over here, you guy. What the hell is going on with this thing? If you don't give me an explanation today, I will send you to see the will of all sentient beings. A brainworm also crawled over tremblingly. Hearing the roar of the master-level insect mother, the brainworm broke out in cold sweat. When the brainworm saw the figure of the Spear of Adun, it felt a little incredible. How can it be? He had investigated it before coming. This wasteland galaxy is located on the edge of the Milky Way, and its only living force is an outpost. The fleet strength of this outpost is completely vulnerable to them. To be on the safe side, they even used the devouring insects to arrive at the wasteland system an hour early. In this case, even if the outpost notifies the Galactic Star Alliance, it is impossible for the Galactic Star Alliance's support to respond. But now, the Spear of Adon appeared in their sights. Not only that, the Spear of Adun also used Star Destroyer weapons to wipe out all the Zerg on the surface. This starship has obviously been destroyed in the memory of their Zerg race, so why does it still appear here? At this moment, the biggest change occurred in their plan, and that was the Spear of Adon. Now, the king insects on the surface of the insect nest have been burned to ashes by ultra-high temperature plasma. Even the crystal fragments in their bodies melted directly with the high temperature. The Dominator-level insect mother was also furious. The Doomsday Ark that had been destroyed by their insect race actually reappeared in the Sea of Stars. This matter must be reported to the will of all sentient beings. I don't know why this Doomsday Ark appears here again. But I believe that the will of all living beings will never allow this Doomsday Ark of the Stars to appear in the Sea of Stars again. All insect ships listen to my order and destroy that Doomsday Ark. The hatred in the history of the Zerg race, coupled with the hatred of the slaughter of the King Zerg today. New and old grudges accumulate together. Now the Zerg fleet's hatred for Chu Jiang has reached its highest level. The Zerg fleet, which had been waiting for a while, also started to take action at this time. The moment the Zerg fleet started taking action, the outpost immediately raised the alarm. Report to the station commander. The Zerg fleet is taking action. Are they taking action? What are they going to do? The station master of the outpost was like an ant on a hot pot at this moment. You know, the support from the Galaxy Alliance has not arrived yet. And the fleet at their outpost is not even enough to fill the gap between their teeth when facing these Zerg fleets. Therefore, now they can only watch helplessly, for fear of what the Zerg fleet will do. The staff at the outpost also turned on the radar system, and then he also discovered the clue. They seem to be heading towards Chu Jiang's starship. What? Chu Jiang's starship? Hasn't that black-hearted profiteer left yet? He had heard that the children of the planet lords were severely cheated by Chu Jiang during the evacuation. This made the outpost commander's impression of Chu Jiang even worse. Now, this kid has not retreated yet, but is being targeted by the Zerg fleet. What is that kid still doing near the insect nest? Inform him quickly and leave the area immediately. No matter how powerful his starship is, he still has to face thousands of Zerg ships. But at this time, when the staff saw what Chu Jiang was doing, they couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Now, the staff member was certain that this Zerg fleet was coming for Chu Jiang. Because what Chu Jiang is doing now is intolerable to any Zerg. Station Master, I think it's useless for Chu Jiang to escape now. I think so. What he did, I guess the Zerg won't let him go easily. Cruiser. At this time, the station commander of the outpost fell silent. Star Destroyer weapons, even among the entire Galaxy Alliance, there are only a handful of Star Destroyers equipped with Star Destroyer weapons. Moreover, these Star Destroyers are strictly controlled by the Galactic Covenant, and it is difficult to use them. Everyone in the entire Galaxy Star Alliance maintains a state of extreme awe for him. But now, a starship equipped with star-killing weapons was suddenly placed in front of him. And the owner of this destroyer star weapon is still a blue star human. At this moment, the outpost commander began to wonder whether Chu Jiang was a human being. His starship is actually a star destroyer. At this moment, Chu Jiang also detected the approach of the Zerg fleet in the Spear of Adun. Lao Huang and Yun Qinghan both came to the bridge, and they also saw the Zerg fleet approaching Chu Jiang. Tisk, TSK, no wonder your kid said at the beginning that he is fully capable of wiping out all the king insects. Now it seems that you, who possesses the Spear of Adun, do have this ability. But what do you do next? In the history of the Zerg, the Spear of Adun was the Doomsday Ark developed by their mortal enemy, the Protoss. With all these old and new grudges combined, I'm afraid these Zerg won't let you go easily even if you run to the ends of the earth. What Lao Huang said is indeed correct. The current master-level insect mother already hates Chu Jiang to the core. With the crystal shards destroyed, their hopes of finding the old Imperium of Man are even slimmer. Now, the ship of their mortal enemy, the Star Spirit clan, appears in front of them again. If they don't completely destroy it, they won't be able to explain it to the will of all sentient beings when they return. Chu Jiang, who was sitting in the command position, was calm and composed, and he also began to analyze the current situation. First of all, what he has to face is a Zerg fleet with 1,000 ships. On my side, although I have just received 20 Moon-class cruisers as rewards from the system. However, the 20 Moon-class cruisers still have some difficulty facing the Zerg fleet. So at this time, the best way for me is to delay. Because the Zerg fleet arrived in the Wasteland Galaxy an hour ahead of schedule. At this time, support from the Galaxy Alliance was already on the way. As long as he can hold on before the support of the Galaxy Star Alliance arrives, his chance of victory will be as high as 100%. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang also showed a confident smile. It's just a Zerg fleet. Now, it's my turn to perform. Seeing Chu Jiang's confident gaze, Lao Huang was also slightly stunned. Does he still have any trump cards? Lao Huang was puzzled. Chu Jiang now only has one Spear of Adun. The number of fleets on the opposite side is as high as 1,000. 1 to 1,000, no matter how powerful the Spear of Adon is, it can't win this war. If he escaped now, he might still have a chance of survival. But judging from Chu Jiang's intentions, he had no intention of escaping at all. At this moment, Lao Huang also became interested in the young men in front of him. Chu Jiang, this blue star human, how should he make a comeback? Boom. At this moment, a bright light appeared in the sea of stars. 20 Moon-class cruisers also appeared on both sides of the Zerg fleet. The Zerg fleet was caught off guard and was directly bombarded. In an instant, several insect ships exploded and were scrapped. The Dominator-level Insect Mother was also shocked by this sudden attack. What happened? Could it be that the Galactic Alliance fleet has arrived? The eyeworms under his command also immediately began to detect the surrounding situation. The surface of the insect ship, which was composed of flesh and steel, instantly opened up pairs of huge insect eyes. These insect eyes began to observe the surrounding situation, and soon discovered the Moon-class cruiser in the distance preparing for the second round of bombardment. Boom. 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 At this moment, the Moon-class cruiser launched another attack. A series of fire lights lit up in the sea of stars. Report to the Insect Mother. We discovered 20 unknown starships on both sides of the fleet. These are the starships attacking our fleet. 20 unknown starships. Hearing these words, the dominant-level Insect Mother felt that she had been underestimated. How dare a mere 20 starships compete with their fleet of thousands of ships? 20 starships dare to attack us, we are so impatient. Separate 100 insect ships and deal with those starships for me. Receive. Among the huge Zerg fleet, 100 Zerg ships were also separated and began to attack the 20 Moon-class cruisers. Seeing this scene, Chu Jiang among the Spears of Adun couldn't help laughing. Good guy. He originally wanted to use the firepower of the Moon-class cruiser to consume more or less the effectiveness of the Zerg fleet. But he never expected that the Zerg's hatred for him would be so high. Even if they are attacked by a Moon-class cruiser, their primary target is themselves. 100 insect ships also want to deal with my Moon-class cruiser. Ridiculous. My own Moon-class cruiser, every starship is at the level of an A-class cruiser. Want to swallow up 20 of his Moon-class cruisers with just 100 insect ships? Don't give up the prey that comes to your door for nothing. Chu Jiang opened the control panel and controlled the Spear of Adun to approach the outpost. Likewise, he also wants to issue orders to 20 Moon-class cruisers. Use all your strength to destroy those 100 insect ships. The order was issued, and the 20 Moon-class cruisers also began to take action. They also put away their artillery and started running towards the distance. It looked like an escape. When the chasing insect ship saw this scene, it thought that the Moon-class cruiser was scared, so it worked harder and attacked the Moon-class cruiser with full firepower. Boom. At this moment, the insect ship at the front fired several artillery pieces. The missile turned into streams of light and attacked the Moon-class cruiser. But at this moment, they watched helplessly as the missile landed on the shield of the Moon-class cruiser and disappeared instantly. The Lunar-class cruiser's void shields can divert any attack into the warp. The attacks from numerous insect ships were insignificant to the Moon-class cruiser. At this time, the Moon-class cruiser also stopped moving forward. Because at this time, the 100 insect ships in front of us were already out of touch with the large army. It's time to deal with these insect ships. For a moment, all the Moon-class cruisers turned around and rushed towards the 100 insect ships. At this time, these insect ships finally realized that they had fallen into the trap of the Moon-class cruiser. They are the real prey. Chapter 50, Who is the Prey? 1 versus 1000. 20 Moon-class cruisers turned around. Subsequently, these Moon-class cruisers also attacked directly towards the insect ship. Seeing this, many insect ships also left to attack. Artillery, missiles, torpedoes, and a large number of fire weapons attacked the Moon-class cruiser like a heavy rain. If it were an ordinary starship, under such fierce firepower from the insect ship, it would probably have been turned into a pile of scrap metal. But in front of the Moon-class cruiser, Many attacks fell on the void shield and disappeared like a mud cow entering the sea. When these insect ships finally fell within the range of the Moon-class cruiser, the Moon-class cruiser also decisively launched an attack. Light spears and macro cannons also launched attacks on the insect ships one after another. The insect ship's energy shield was instantly destroyed by the Moon-class cruiser's attack. A large amount of firepower fell directly on the insect ship's body. The insect ships are made of a combination of steel and flesh, so their armor is extremely strong and can even heal automatically. However, under the powerful fire offensive of the Moon-class cruiser, they had no chance to heal. Boom. 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 One insect ship after another exploded. It's hard to believe that 20 Moon-class cruisers actually defeated 100 insect ships without any power to fight back. The Dominator-class Insect Mother also received the news of the insect ship's demise. It didn't pay attention at first, but as more and more insect ships fell, it finally discovered something was wrong. 100 insect ships that he sent out to pursue the Moon-class cruiser actually all perished. What's the situation? 100 insect ships couldn't take down 20 cruisers. But when the facts are in front of it, it has no choice but to believe it. At this time, the Dominator-level Insect Mother gritted her teeth as she looked at the nearby Spear of Adun. First deal with this Doomsday Ark of the Protoss, and then deal with those starships. The Dominator-level Insect Mother also directly attacked the Spear of Adun. A large number of missiles attacked the Spear of Adun like a torrential rain. Chu Jiang glanced at the approaching missile group and decisively opened the energy shield. Rumble. Densely packed missiles exploded on the energy shield of the Spear of Adun. The flames drowned the Spear of Adon almost instantly. In the outpost, many members of the Star Alliance couldn't help but gasp when they saw this scene. It's over. Under the concentrated fire of so many missiles, its starship must have been blown to pieces. In the round of fire just now, at least hundreds of insect ships launched attacks at the same time. The Star Destroyers would have been directly sunk now. It's over. This guy really D off the Zerg fleet this time. The opponent is so cruel. It would be great if he could hold on for a little longer, our support will be here soon. But at this moment, the flames dissipated, and the Spear of Adon appeared in front of everyone safe and sound. Now, not only the Galaxy Alliance, but even the Insect Mother was shocked. The concentrated fire of hundreds of ships failed to sink the Spear of Adun. Not only that, the energy shield of the Spear of Adun didn't even break. What kind of terror defense is this? Is this the power of Doomsday Ark? No wonder all sentient beings wanted to destroy those 3 Doomsday Arks at all costs. The Insect Mother finally understood the original intention of all sentient beings. This Doomsday Ark is so powerful. If the 3 Doomsday Arks are activated at the same time, the outcome of the battle between the Zerg and the Protoss is still unknown. But this also strengthens the awakening of the Dominator-level Insect Mother to destroy the Spear of Adun. If 1 round of bombardment can't solve the problem, then 2 rounds. Immediately afterwards, the remaining insect ships also launched an attack. Boom. 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 A large number of artillery also launched another attack on the Spear of Adun. The flames of the artillery dissipated, and the Spear of Adun was still standing there safe and sound, unscathed. At this time, Chu Jiang was sitting in the bridge and directly opened the fire weapon panel of the Spear of Adun with a wave of his hand. Purification beam activated. The target has been locked. Emission. The Spear of Adun launched a counterattack, and the purification beam formed by the Annihilation Cluster struck directly at the Zerg fleet. In an instant, a large number of insect ships were directly killed by the purification beam. The fire symbolizing destruction also illuminated the entire starry sky. Seeing this scene, the Covenant soldiers at the outpost were shocked. What kind of ship is this? Not only did it withstand 2 rounds of bombardment, it even had the ability to counterattack the Zerg fleet. Who built this starship? Its defense and firepower are so terrifying. If it were an ordinary starship, let alone fight back, it wouldn't even be able to withstand the bombardment. No, why are we still dazed now? Are we going to let one of his starships fight against 1,000 insect ships of the Zerg tribe? Station Master, give the order, we can't let him fight against the Zerg fleet alone. Watching Chu Jiang's Spear of Adun launch a frantic attack on the Zerg fleet. The Station Master of the outpost was also worried. All forts and equipment are ready, and all fighter planes are dispatched. We must fully support Chu Jiang before support arrives. Following the order from the head of the outpost, the entire outpost began to operate. A large number of turrets are also aimed at the Zerg fleet. Fortunately, Chu Jiang moved the ship near the outpost at the beginning. Therefore, the fort at the outpost is just enough to bombard the Zerg fleet. Seeing that the outpost was also starting to operate, Chu Jiang also smiled. I thought these guys from the Galaxy Alliance planned to just watch the show like this. Chu Jiang controlled the purification beam and strafed the Zerg fleet. The Zerg fleet suffered heavy losses for a while. At this time, fighters and starships from the outpost also joined the battlefield. The Insect Mother became even more angry when she saw the Covenant outpost joining the battle. These minions from the Star Alliance actually dare to provoke us. Before he finished speaking, the rear of the Zerg fleet was also attacked. The Moon-class cruisers that destroyed 100 insect ships also eliminated those insect ships and rejoined the battlefield. Now, the Zerg fleet has to face the attack of the Spear of Adun in the outpost, and at the same time, it has to deal with the sneak attack of the Moon-class cruiser. It is hard to believe that the Zerg fleet with thousands of ships actually began to fall into a disadvantage in this battle. Damn it. Don't worry about anything else, give me the Spear of Adun. No matter what happens, I must completely destroy this starship. The Insect Mother's hatred for the Spear of Adun has reached the point of obsession, and now it is desperate to destroy the Spear of Adun first. But at this moment, space ripples appeared one after another in the starry sky. The support of the Galactic Covenant has arrived. Chapter 51, Are You Okay? Chu Jiang, I'm familiar with it. Whoosh. A stream of light suddenly appeared in the wasteland galaxy. I saw a ship with the Sun Federation pattern printed on it, and it also escaped from the space jump state. Immediately afterwards, more and more streamers appeared. A large number of ships swarmed in like meteors. Some ships are printed with the logo of the Galactic Covenant, and some are printed with the logo of the Solar Federation. But what is certain is that they have only one purpose for coming today. That is to destroy the Zerg fleet. Seeing so many fleets appearing, the Dominator-level Insect Mother began to panic. If they had enough ships before, they would have an absolute advantage. So now, with the arrival of numerous supports from the Galactic Covenant Alliance, their advantage has disappeared. Damn it. We spent too much time on that Protoss ship. At this time, the Master-level Insect Mother also discovered the problem. They have spent too long on this extremely powerful Protoss ship. This time consumed completely wiped out the time advantage they had established by using the insect devouring insects. Without the interference of this starship, they would have been able to calmly leave here after recovering the crystal fragments. But now, they can't leave. The support of the Galactic Star Alliance has arrived, and the fleets of these Galactic Star Alliance will not let go of the Zerg easily. Thinking of this, the Dominator-level Insect Mother also felt in a dilemma. At this time, the commanders of the Galaxy Alliance and the Sun Federation immediately entered the communication channel of the outpost. The commander of the Galaxy Star Alliance, Lord Qinghe, also immediately asked about the situation at the outpost. How's it going? Is everyone okay? Sorry, we are late, you are not injured. Lord Qinghe also showed deep concern in his words. Along the way, the captains of these Galactic Covenant Alliance could be said to have reached the highest speed. Because they know that the fleet at the outpost is weak and it is impossible to deal with the attack of the Zerg fleet. If they had arrived a minute later, they would probably have been greeted by a pile of scrap metal. Moreover, the Zerg fleet actually used the insect-eating insects to arrive at the wasteland galaxy an hour early. Along the way, they were also on tenterhooks, fearing that when the jump was over, all they would see was a pile of scrap metal. The station master of the outpost looked at Lord Qinghe, who looked anxious in the communication channel, and scratched his head in embarrassment. Lord Qinghe, we are fine. Instead, we are now contending with the Zerg fleet. This is all thanks to a young man named Chu Jiang. It is because of him and his fleet that we can survive until now. Not only that, so far, Chu Jiang has destroyed nearly 300 insect ships of the Zerg fleet. Now, with your joining, those Zerg fleets are just a bunch of trapped beasts, ready to be slaughtered at any time. As soon as these words came out, the entire communication channel fell silent. What? Did they hear it right? In their guess, the outpost should be crumbling under the attack of the Zerg fleet. But judging from the tone of the other party, the outpost is still facing a head-on confrontation with the Zerg fleet. Moreover, they had the upper hand against the Zerg fleet. This is too outrageous. That was a Zerg fleet the size of 1,000 bug ships. With such a huge fleet, any outpost's resistance is already at its limit. Not only did they resist the attack of the Zerg fleet, but they could even fight back. At this moment, in the communication channel, the commander of the Sun Federation fleet suddenly asked, "Wait a minute, what's the name of the young man you're talking about?" "It's called Chu Jiang, a blue star human." Chu Jiang. After hearing this name, the commander of the Sun Federation's eyes also lit up. Seeing this, Lord Qinghe also asked curiously, "You know him?" "Of course I know him. He is the first genius in the history of our blue star to awaken the soul of an S-class ship. How could he not be familiar with Chu Jiang?" Back then, Zhong'an watched helplessly as Chu Jiang awakened the S-class ship soul. That's right, the reinforcement commander of the Sun Federation this time is Chu Jiang's old acquaintance, Lord Zhong'an. S-class ship soul. Lord Qinghe Star was also a little surprised after hearing these words. It turns out that the blue star genius who was rumored inside the Sun Federation was this young man named Chu Jiang. Unexpectedly, at this time, Chu Jiang's signal also suddenly appeared in the communication channel of the outpost. "You reinforcements just hang out here chatting when you get there, right? Should we fight again? If we don't fight, the space engines of the Zerg fleet will be ready." For a moment, Lord Qinghe and Zhong'an also reacted. They immediately commanded their fleet to attack the Zerg fleet. The situation reversed instantly, and a large amount of firepower was concentrated on the Zerg fleet. Almost in the blink of an eye, half of the insect ships in the Zerg fleet were destroyed by powerful firepower. Damn it. We have to retreat. At this point, staying here will only lead to death. Although the Dominator-level insect mother still has a deep obsession with the Spear of Adun. But when its life is in danger, everything it does is to survive. Immediately equip yourself for a space jump. At this moment, the space engine of the Zerg fleet has also finished cooling. As long as they can use space jumps to successfully escape from the wasteland galaxy, they can use devouring insects and use the same method to quickly escape the pursuit of the Galactic Covenant Alliance. On the Galaxy Star Alliance side, the two commanders also discovered the Zerg's intentions. Not good. The Zerg fleet is preparing to use space jump to escape from here. We can't let it escape. If we let it escape, the Zerg will have the assistance of eating insects, and it will be very difficult to pursue it. Just when the two commanders were still thinking about how to intercept the Zerg fleet, in the communication channel, Chu Jiang's voice also sounded again. "It's not that easy to escape under my nose." Open the weapon control panel and Chu Jiang presses one of the weapons. Ding, the space-time position is ready. Ding, the coordinate location has been set. Ding, the weapon has been charged and can be fired at any time. Emission. Whoosh. The main cannon of the Spear of Adun directly fired a ball of blue energy light. This energy light group attacked directly towards the Zerg flagship. When this ball of energy approached the Zerg flagship, the energy ball exploded directly. A powerful space energy directly froze all time and space around the Zerg flagship. Chapter 52, now that the dust has settled, it's time for us to talk about remuneration. How can it be so easy to escape unscathed after offending me? Seeing that the Spear of Adun directly used the space-time stance, it froze the Zerg fleet that was about to escape. Both the members of the Galaxy Star Alliance and the Sun Federation couldn't help but take a breath of air. Even Zhong'an was shocked by this space-time weapon. Is this a space-time weapon? Hiss, how many weapons are loaded on Chu Jiang's ship? Aren't space-time weapons always the technology of those advanced civilizations? As a blue star human, how can Chu Jiang control space-time weapons? For a moment, Lord Qinghe also looked at Zhong'an. And Zhong'an also didn't understand that the strength of Chu Jiang's starship had far exceeded the strength of ordinary S-class starships. No matter how much their starships are improved, it is impossible for them to achieve the feat of one starship fighting against 1,000 insect ships. Not to mention time and space weapons, the Star Sea races that master time and space weapons are very rare in the entire Star Sea. Chu Jiang can actually use space-time weapons. Just when they were still shocked by the release of the time and space position. Chu Jiang's voice also sounded in the communication channel again. What are you still doing? Are you waiting for me to clean up these Zerg fleets? Wait a little longer, and the freezing effect of the spacetime position will end. By that time, the Zerg will be let go by you. At this point, everyone reacted quickly. Many starships immediately raised their forts and launched an attack on the frozen Zerg fleet. The current Zerg fleet is completely a bunch of lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Under the command of the two commanders, a large amount of artillery fire also attacked the Zerg fleet like a heavy rain. Facing such a powerful firepower system, even the Zerg fleet cannot resist. The moment the spacetime stance ended, the entire Zerg fleet was instantly swallowed up by the flames of the artillery. The flames dissipated, leaving only a mess in the starry sky. Finally, after repeated inspections by Lord Qinghe, it was confirmed that the Zerg fleet had been completely annihilated. It is hard to believe that the Zerg fleet composed of 1,000 ships would be completely destroyed in the wasteland system. You know, they are fully prepared. He even used devouring insects to come to the wasteland galaxy in advance, and the goal of coming to the wasteland galaxy was just to recover crystal fragments. But now, not only have the crystal fragments not been recovered, but they have been completely destroyed by the Galaxy Star Alliance. And everything is just because of the existence of one person. Chu Jiang. Without the presence of Chu Jiang, the Galaxy Star Alliance would not even be able to see the Zerg fleet when they rush over now. Brother Chu Jiang, thank you for your action. If it weren't for your action, we wouldn't be able to deal with these Zerg fleets so easily. After Lord Qinghe defeated the Zerg fleet, he also expressed his heartfelt thanks to Chu Jiang. And Zhonghen next to him was even more proud. After all, Chu Jiang is also a talent from Blue Star. Now, Chu Jiang has done such an earth-shattering thing, how can he not be proud? Moreover, I heard that he directly bombed the insect nest planet. In other words, there will no longer be insect infestations in the wasteland galaxy from now on. With this matter, I don't even know how much energy I have left to help the Galaxy Star Alliance. Chu Jiang was also smiling in the communication channel and looked very kind. It doesn't matter, this is what I should do. After hearing these words, Lord Qinghe's opinion of Chu Jiang was even higher. Such outstanding and humble young people are rare in today's galaxy. However, when the station master of the outpost looked at Chu Jiang's smiling face, his heart pounded. Something's wrong. According to this short period of understanding, although this young man Chu Jiang is a powerful guy. But at the same time, this guy is also an out-and-out profiteer. He's the kind of guy who can't afford to be early without profit. As expected, when everyone was still immersed in the joyful moment of winning, Chu Jiang suddenly spoke. So, can we discuss the remuneration? Remuneration. Hearing these words, the station master of the outpost also breathed a sigh of relief. This is only right. I thought Chu Jiang suddenly had a conscience. As the commander of the Galaxy Star Alliance, Lord Qinghe also looked at Chu Jiang. Chu Jiang played a vital role in this battle, so now that Chu Jiang is asking for reward, he feels that this is a matter of course. When Zhonghen heard this, a happy smile appeared on his face. Sure enough, I saw the wrong person. In interstellar navigation, interests are always more useful than favors. As the saying goes, if you don't take care of yourself, you will be punished by heaven and earth. Zhonghen was very pleased that Chu Jiang could understand this truth so quickly. Boy, you are very understanding. In this case, as your senior, I will give you a push. Thinking of this, Zhonghen was the first to speak. Lord Qinghe, you should also know very well that Chu Jiang is a great hero in this battle. I heard that he not only helped the Galactic Covenant to rescue everyone in the Hive's surface stronghold. After that, he cleaned up the entire insect nest and solved the long-standing insect infestation. Lord Qinghe also nodded, he had heard all these things. Chu Jiang indeed made great contributions that cannot be ignored in this battle. Seeing Lord Qinghe waver, Zhonghen also continued. We made a huge mistake in our intelligence during this operation. The Zerg fleet arrived in the wasteland system 1 hour earlier than expected. And within this hour, it was Chu Jiang who tried his best to hold back the Zerg fleet and inflicted heavy damage on the Zerg fleet. So, I think Chu Jiang must take at least 90% of the credit for the victory in this war. Really? After Zhonghen's analysis, Lord Qinghe also felt that Chu Jiang really needed payment. Otherwise, if someone has made such a huge contribution without any reward, and others know about it, wouldn't it make their Galaxy Star Alliance lose face? Thinking of this, Lord Qinghe also looked at Zhong'an. Lord Zhong'an, if you want to see it, how much reward should I give to little brother Chu Jiang? You've asked the right person. Zhong'an glanced at Chu Jiang, and the meaning in his eyes was self-evident. Let's see my brother get the best interests for you. First of all, Chu Jiang's fleet must have consumed a lot of energy in order to resist the Zerg fleet. With 100,000 units of energy ore, there shouldn't be any problem. At the same time, we should also need to give him some star coins as compensation. If I look at it, 10 million star coins is about the same. Chapter 53, Loneliness is the biggest enemy, the coordinates of the legacy. 10 million star coins, plus 100,000 units of energy ore. After thinking for a moment, Lord Qinghe also nodded. I think it's okay, I'll report it to my superiors. I wonder, little brother Chu Jiang, are you satisfied with this result? After saying that, Lord Qinghe also looked at Chu Jiang. And Chu Jiang smiled. Satisfied, of course very satisfied. He originally thought that a few star coins would be enough for him. I didn't expect that this guy Zhong'an was so powerful. Not only did he get more star coins for himself, but he even got energy ores. Although the energy of the Spear of Adun comes from the core of the sun. But in addition to the Spear of Adun, he also has 20 Moon-class cruisers to maintain. These energy ores can just supplement the energy problem of your Moon-class cruiser. Next, Chu Jiang waited for the Galaxy Star Alliance to deliver these resources to his door. Later, Lord Qinghe also led many members of the Star Alliance to start cleaning the battlefield. And Zhong'an came to Chu Jiang's Spear of Adun. Arriving at the reception room of Spear of Adun, Chu Jiang also placed a drink from Artisan Star in front of Zhong'an. Thank you, Lord Zhong'an. Hearing this, Zhong'an also smiled. Why are you thanking me? You deserve these. I didn't expect that your boy has achieved such achievements less than a month after he started his interstellar voyage. It seems that you made the right choice not to join the Sun Federation. Looking at the young men in front of him, Zhong'an couldn't help but sigh. When I was young, I had just been on an interstellar voyage for a month, and I probably didn't even go out to the Milky Way. But Chu Jiang is different. In just 1 month, he now has 20 starships under his command, and they are all A-class cruisers. Not only that, he also had the experience of fighting against the Zerg. Speaking of this experience, no one would have thought that he could hold back the attack of 1,000 insect ships with only 20 starships. At this moment, Yun Qinghan also came to the living room. When he saw Yun Qinghan, Zhong'an also had a strange look in his eyes. Why is Yun Qinghan here? He clearly remembered that Chu Jiang's escort mission was only to escort Yun Qinghan to the Vulcan Galaxy. But now we are in the Wasteland Galaxy, which is the edge of the Milky Way. When Yun Qinghan saw the strange look in Zhong'an's eyes, he immediately understood. Later, Yun Qinghan also came to Chu Jiang. Chu Jiang, thank you very much for taking care of me during this time. I plan to leave now. Planning to leave? So sudden. Chu Jiang was also a little puzzled. What? Where are you going? During this period, Yun Qinghan also helped Chu Jiang a lot on the ship. When Chu Jiang was fighting against the Zerg on the surface, Yun Qinghan basically gave him ground support on the Spear of Adun. It's a pity that Yun Qinghan is arrogant, otherwise Chu Jiang would really have planned to recruit him as his first mate. And Yun Qinghan also expressed his thoughts very simply. I originally followed you to the Wasteland Galaxy just to satisfy my curiosity in seeking treasures. But along the way, I discovered that I am just a burden if I continue to follow you. I don't have psychic powers, nor do I have powerful armor like yours, so if I continue to follow you, I will only slow you down. Hearing this, Chu Jiang also said. You don't have to fight. You can help me a lot just by staying on the ship and helping me control the Spear of Adun while I rest. But at this time, Yun Qinghan snorted very proudly. Who wants to help you? I am Yun Qinghan. In terms of talent, I am no worse than you. I have made up my mind. Now I want to leave here and continue my own interstellar voyage. I hope that by then, the two of us can meet again in the outer realm. Seeing that Yun Qinghan had made up her mind, Chu Jiang did not try to persuade her to stay. He also knew very well how a proud and arrogant guy like Yun Qinghan could be willing to stay on his ship and serve as his adjutant. At this time, Lao Huang also walked over scratching his head. "Brother Chu Jiang, it's time for me to leave. Thank you for saving my life this time. I, Lao Huang, will definitely remember your kindness this time." With that said, Lao Huang also left the reception room. Chu Jiang watched Yun Qinghan leave, and then watched Lao Huang leave. Finally, Zhong'an also left here and returned to his fleet. After everyone left, Chu Jiang sat in the empty living room and was silent for a long time. Perhaps, in this long interstellar voyage, loneliness is a person's biggest enemy. Taking a deep breath, Chu Jiang also adjusted his emotions. Everyone has their own ambitions, and I believe that after Yun Qinghan leaves her, she will find her own path. And now, the last thing I want is to find the legacy of the old human empire. Chu Jiang placed the crystal fragments on the table, and at this time, the 4 crystal fragments also merged into one. When the 4 crystal fragments merged into one, a crystal compass also appeared in front of Chu Jiang. After opening the compass, what was recorded on it was exactly where the legacy of the old human empire was. Chu Jiang also wrote down this coordinate. A few days later, the Galaxy Star Alliance also sent over all the energy ores. After Chu Jiang collected all these energy ores, he directly activated the Spear of Adun and headed towards the heritage coordinates of the old human empire. Ancient galaxies, rusty stars. Along with a stream of light appearing in the starry sky of the ancient galaxy, the figure of the Spear of Adun gradually appeared in the endless sea of stars. Immediately afterwards, several streams of light followed, and the Moon-class cruiser also followed behind the Spear of Adun, forming a guard formation. Chu Jiang was sitting in the bridge, holding a crystal astrolabe in his hand. Looking at the stars in front of him, Chu Jiang frowned slightly in disbelief. He thought that the planet where the legacy of the old human empire was located might be an extremely remote and desolate planet. But in fact, the planet in front of him was completely different from what he imagined. A mechanical planet made of gears and clockwork suddenly appeared in Chu Jiang's field of vision. Ancient galaxy, rusty stars. This is a mechanical planet made of mechanical gears and energy ores. Looking at the giant machine-like planet in front of him, Chu Jiang couldn't help but think. What kind of god is it that can create such a marvelous mechanical planet? And the starport of Rust Star is built on the star ring of Rust Star. The star ring and the Earth's surface are connected by orbits one after another. Chapter 54, This is very steampunk. Praise the god of all opportunities. After Chu Jiang parked the ship in the starport, it also attracted the attention of the people around him. After all, ships as large as the Spear of Adun are rare. Chu Jiang has long been accustomed to such gazes. After parking the ship in the starport, he also took the interstellar train to the surface. Sitting in the interstellar train, watching other trains one after another traveling on the track, Chu Jiang couldn't help but sigh, is this the world of Outland? There are no such weird planets in the Milky Way. The rusty stars in front of him also refreshed Chu Jiang's understanding of ordinary planets. As the interstellar train gradually approached the ground, Chu Jiang's understanding of the rusty stars was once again refreshed by the sight in front of him. On the surface, various high-rise buildings are arranged on the ground like building blocks. And the ground is not an ordinary ground. The ground of this planet has long been replaced by various machine parts. At this time, a voice announcement also sounded in the carriage. Welcome passengers to Rust Star. Our Rust Star is a magical planet made of machinery. If it is your first time to come to our planet, please be sure to find a local tour guide to show you the way. At the same time, I would like to remind all tourists that the terrain of Rust Star will change every 12 hours. Please do not leave the building when the bell rings to avoid being involved in mechanical parts. Finally, Star Railway Company wishes you a pleasant journey and is happy to serve you. As the voice broadcast stopped, the interstellar train also arrived at the station on the surface. The car door opened, and Chu Jiang followed the crowd to the surface of the Rust Star. It has to be said that everything in Rust Star is filled with a steampunk aesthetic. Chu Jiang opened his crystal compass and wanted to specifically locate the location of the heritage. But at this time, Chu Jiang opened the crystal compass and found that the location pointed by the compass was actually underground. What's the situation? Is it possible for me to go hunting for treasure under the planet? Chu Jiang stood in front of the guardrail and looked down. He saw a large number of gears densely arranged on the surface of the planet. There are so many gear mechanisms, it is estimated that even if a starship falls, these gears can crush it instantly. After thinking for a moment, Chu Jiang also decided to get some information first. After all, I just arrived here and am unfamiliar with the place. Maybe after a few days of investigating the information, we can find a way to the underground world. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang also decided to find a place to stay first. For this place to stay, Chu Jiang also found a place with a large flow of people. Places with a large flow of people are also good for gathering intelligence. While walking on the road, Chu Jiang couldn't help but miss the time when Lao Huang was here. If Lao Huang was here, could I buy some information from him? Thinking of this, Chu Jiang also smiled bitterly. Sir, do you want to know something about the Mechanicum? Our Mechanicus is the oldest church on this planet. As long as you join the Mechanicus priests can modify a mechanical prosthetic limb for you for free. As he said that, the church member also enthusiastically pushed the flyer into Chu Jiang's hand. Chu Jiang was stunned for a moment, and then took the flyer from the other party's hand. Looking at the contents on the flyer, Chu Jiang also learned about the Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus is the oldest church organization on the planet. Everyone in the Mechanicus believes in a god called the God of all machines. They firmly believe that machines have souls, while human bodies are weak. In order to move closer to the God of all opportunities, the more advanced the church members are, the more comprehensive the transformation of their bodies will be. Chu Jiang looked at the church member opposite. She was a girl whose legs had been transformed into mechanical prostheses. Seeing this scene, Chu Jiang also frowned slightly. Chu Jiang is a little disgusted with the act of transforming the physical body into a machine. After thinking for a moment, Chu Jiang put the flyer back into the girl's hand. Not interested. Later, Chu Jiang could clearly see a trace of loss in the girl's eyes, but he didn't care. The girl did not continue to pester. Although her tone was full of disappointment, she still said to Chu Jiang very politely, "I'm very sorry to bother you, sir." Chu Jiang didn't say anything and left the place directly. Soon, Chu Jiang also came to a hotel. After renting a room in the hotel, he immediately summoned the pilot troops. It is much better for a group of people to collect information than for one person to collect information. Therefore, under the command of Chu Jiang, many pilots dispersed to every corner of the city and began to collect intelligence. Soon, information came one after another. After Chu Jiang took a look at the information, he saw the words Mechanicus in the information again. In this mechanical city, the influence of the Mechanicus is very powerful. Almost in the entire history of Rus Star, there is a shadow of the Mechanicum. However, in recent years, the influence of the Mechanicus has begun to gradually weaken. This is because a brand new church has appeared on this planet. Star Gods Association. As the name suggests, the Star God Society is a church that believes in the Star God. This church claims that as long as they join their church, the great Star God will awaken their psychic powers and make them noble psychers. With such a good thing, people naturally flock to it. That's a great opportunity to become a psyker. Almost everyone knows that once you become a psyker, you have the opportunity to change your destiny. Therefore, the existence of the Star God Society has had a huge impact on the supremacy of the Mechanicus. This has also caused the influence of the Mechanicum to continue to decline in recent years. What interests Chu Jiang the most is that this Star God Society can actually help others awaken their spiritual powers. After all, just relying on bluffing and deception is simply not enough to rise in such a short period of time. Chu Jiang was a little curious as to how they allowed those church members to awaken their spiritual powers. If one only needs to believe in the Star God to awaken psychic powers, psychers will not become rare beings. It's interesting. Next, let's pay attention to the Star God Society and the Mechanicus at the end. Chu Jiang also informed many pilots and asked them to collect targeted intelligence. At this moment, there was a loud noise outside the window, which also interrupted Chu Jiang's thoughts. Damn it! You, a mechanical monster, still dare to operate in our territory. Chapter 55, There is psychic power, but not much. You turn out to be a great mechanic too. What do you mean by your territory? You Star God Society people are too unreasonable. Hearing this voice, Chu Jiang also looked out the window with some curiosity. Sure enough, on the street, the girl who had previously promoted the mechanicum to her was cornered by several believers wearing Star God Society robes. One of the Star God Society members raised his right hand, and then a spiritual power gathered in his right hand. Be reasonable. How can I be reasonable with a mechanical monster like you? It is because of the existence of heretics like you that more and more reformed talents will appear. After saying that, the member of the Star God Society clasped his hands tightly. The girl opposite seemed to be restrained by an invisible force, with her feet dangling in the air. Seeing this scene, Chu Jiang couldn't help but narrow his eyes. It's a psyker. It seems that what the newspaper said is indeed correct. Anyone who joins the Star God Society can gain psychic power and become a noble psyker. But Chu Jiang had seen real psykers, and the psionic power of the Star God Society member in front of him was more like an external force. And he is just a borrower of this power. In other words, his psychic power is not his own psychic power, but the psychic power lent to him by others. Although this psychic power can be used, it belongs to others after all. As long as that person takes back his spiritual power, the member of the Star God Society in front of him will become an ordinary person again. This Star God will be interesting. Being able to distribute psychic power to so many people, the holder of this psychic power must also be a very powerful psychic. What is his purpose for doing this? For money? Or for prestige? You know, a powerful psyker never lacks these two things. While Chu Jiang was still thinking, the members of the Star God Society opposite also showed a hint of ferocity on their faces. The member of the Star God Society who used psychic powers also increased the output of his psychic powers. The face of the girl who was restrained by psychic energy gradually became extremely painful. Seeing this scene, Chu Jiang suddenly felt something bad. He originally thought that the relationship between these Star God Society members and the girl was just a conflict between the church and the church. But now it seems that this member of the Star God Society is planning to kill him. Chu Jiang waved his hand, and the nano armor on his wrist turned into a stream of light and struck in the direction of the girl. Boom. The nano armor turned into a set of unmanned armor and landed next to the girl. The members of the Star God Society were also shocked when they saw this set of unmanned armor. Immediately afterwards, the unmanned armor raised his hands, and the palm cannon was directly aimed at the member of the Star God Society who was using his psychic powers. Boom. A palm cannon landed directly at his feet, and the member of the Star God Society who used psychic powers also reacted quickly. The spiritual energy dissipated, and his body quickly retreated backwards. Who? Several members of the Star God Society also looked at the unmanned armor in front of them with solemn expressions. The girl who was restrained was also rescued. At this moment, her eyes were full of fear, and she seemed to have walked through the gate of hell again. And Chu Jiang stood by the window, looking down at the scene on the street. Many members of the Star God Society did not respond when they saw the unmanned armor, and they also looked ugly. Damn it. Judging from the power of the palm cannon just struck, they are definitely no match for this unarmored one. After several members of the Star God Society thought for a moment, they also said harsh words. If you offend our Star God Society, just wait and see. After that, several members of the Star God Society also left here. When the crowd gathered around saw this scene, they also started talking. It's another conflict between the Mechanikus and the Star God Society. I don't know how many times this month it has been. Now the Star God Society has expanded to the extreme. If it wants to continue to expand, it can only annex the Mechanikus. The Mechanikus has been managing the Rust Star for so many years, and nothing has gone wrong. Will it continue to be poorly managed by the Mechanikus? Hush! Are you looking for death? If the Star God Society discovers this, they will definitely treat you as a heretic. Watching the crowd gradually disperse, Chu Jiang also came downstairs. At this moment, he was curious about one thing. That is why the Tan's ill will towards the Mechanikus is so great. If it were just a fight between two churches, there would be no need to kill people. When Chu Jiang came to the girl, he also put away the unmanned armor in front of her. Seeing Chu Jiang put away the unmanned armor, the girl's eyes suddenly lit up. Sir, are you also a great mechanic? Mechanic? I should be considered one. Chu Jiang nodded, and the girl became even more excited after learning his identity as a mechanic. I didn't expect you to be a great mechanic. Thank you so much for saving my life. And Chu Jiang also asked the girl, why are the people of the Star God Society so malicious towards your mechanics? If it were just a dispute of faith between churches, there would be no need to cause loss of life. Hearing Chu Jiang's words, the girl's eyes dimmed. Sir, you don't know something. Rus Star is a planet with a church system. Originally, all previous consuls were held by members of the mechanics. But after the Star Gods rose, they wanted to seize the management rights of this planet. Those people from the Star God Society discriminate against us modified people. They call us monsters and encircle and suppress us. Because the power of the Star God Society is too huge, and its members are all psychers, no matter how scared everyone is, they dare not complain. As she spoke, the girl looked at her legs. Then, she also smiled bitterly. Actually, I am a disabled person, born without legs. But it was the cult of Mechanicum that accepted me and made me these mechanical prosthetics. I am grateful to the Mechanics for giving me the right to a new life, but these star gods will want to take away my right to live again. No matter what, I will never bow to the villains of the Star God Society. Speaking of this, Chu Jiang also became interested. It turns out that her mechanical prosthesis was specially built for her by the Mechanics, and was not transformed from her own flesh and blood. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang began to have a slight interest in this so-called Mechanics. Maybe, I can get some information about the inheritance from this ancient Mechanics. I am now interested in the Mechanics. Can you take me to your church to have a look? Hearing this sentence, the girl's eyes suddenly became colored. Of course. For a mechanic like you, Godfather will definitely welcome you. Chapter 56, The God of All Machines Protects His People, Rust Dungeon. Then take me there. Chu Jiang also wanted to know what was different about this ancient church organization. Following the girl, Chu Jiang also came to a small town outside the central city. In this small town, you can see a large number of transformed people living here. Some of them just had mechanical prosthetics, while others had their entire bodies modified, leaving only their heads still looking like flesh and blood. This is Bob. He was originally a workshop worker. Due to a mechanical failure the year before last, his lower body was crushed by a machine tool. But fortunately, the Godfather installed a mechanical body on him. Now he is even more flexible than before. That is Uncle Lin. He is also a blue star human like you, but Uncle Lin almost died because of a car accident. In the end, I taught 857's father to take action and replaced him with a mechanical heart. Most of the people in this small town are disabled people who have had tragic fates. But it was precisely because of the existence of the Mechanicum that they regained a second life. Along the way, Chu Jiang also gained a lot of favorable impressions of the Mechanics, a church organization. He also knew that those who were transformed in the Mechanics were voluntarily transformed. Most of these transformed people are disabled. The mechanical priests of the Mechanics helped them transform their bodies for free and did not receive any compensation. The only requirement is that they must believe in the God of all machines and treat machines with the same care as they treat their own physical bodies. Soon, Chu Jiang also came to the Church of the Mechanicum. This church is the most splendid building in the entire town. The girl also took Chu Jiang into the church. After entering the church, the girl also took Chu Jiang to the underground space of the church. The top of the church is where they usually praise the God of all opportunities and pray devoutly. The underground space is the most important place of this church. At this moment, a large number of machine tools are running in this underground space. At the same time, there are also a large number of reformers working in the workshop. The girl brought Chu Jiang to a room. When she was about to open the door and walk in, she saw the door of the room being pushed open. A burly man looked at the mechanical prosthesis on his hand, his eyes filled with excitement that could not be concealed. Thank you, Godfather. Now I can pick up things again. With that said, the big man also walked outside. When the girl saw this, she also explained to Chu Jiang, there are usually some disabled people who come to our church to install mechanical prostheses in order to return to normal life. It was obvious that the sturdy man was one of them. Chu Jiang followed the girl into the room, and saw in the room a mechanical priest whose whole body had been transformed into a machine, with a Sejong robot arm behind his back, playing with the parts on the table. When the girl and Chu Jiang entered the room, the mechanic priest also raised his head. Godfather. This is a mechanic I just met. He was very interested in our mechanic use, so I brought him here. Mechanic. Upon hearing these 3 words, the mechanical priest opposite also raised his head. His eyes had been transformed into prosthetic eyes, which also glowed faintly, and he began to investigate Chu Jiang's identity. On Chu Jiang's side, the data collection function was also turned on. Creating a new data document, naming the mechanical armor. Collecting target information. After a silent exchange between the two, the mechanic priest also asked Chu Jiang very directly. Are you a human from Blue Star? TSK. Blue Star humans are very rare in the Outer Realm. Since you can come to the Outer Realm, it means you are somewhat capable. Speaking of which, what is your purpose in coming to Tieshio Star? And Chu Jiang was not polite and asked the mechanical priest directly. I would like to ask if you know how to get to the underground of the Rust Star. As soon as he finished speaking, the movements in the hands of the mechanic priest also stopped. Then, the mechanic priest looked at Chu Jiang very seriously. You want to go to the Rust Dungeon? That's no place for people to stay. Rust Dungeon. After Chu Jiang heard this name, he was also very happy. Apparently, I didn't ask the wrong person. This mechanic priest really knows how to get to the underground of the Rust Star. Yes, I want to go to Rust Dungeon. Hearing Chu Jiang's answer, the mechanic priest smiled. When the girl next to her heard Chu Jiang's answer, she quickly tugged on Chu Jiang's clothes. Master Mechanic, the dungeon is not a place you can go. You know, the entire Rust Star is a huge machine. Since this machine is going to operate, it definitely requires energy, and hotspots will definitely be released when it is running. So, where did all this energy and heat go? Rust Dungeon. Under this bustling Rust Star, there is such a place. This place never sees the sun all year round, and the sky is made of various gears. Only when the gears change can they see a glimmer of light. The people who work here are almost all the lowest level workers in Rust Star. They are responsible for adding various energy sources into the power furnace to provide energy for the upper mechanical city. At the same time, they also have to walk between various gear parts for maintenance. If you are not careful, you will slip and fall between the gear parts and be minced into minced meat. A large amount of steam and exhaust gas filled the entire underground space. And this purgatory-like place is the Rust Dungeon. Almost no one wants to go to Rust Dungeon, but the people living in Rust Dungeon have a lifelong dream to live in the upper-level mechanical city. Therefore, when hearing that Chu Jiang wanted to go underground, the first reaction of the mechanic priest 1.1 was that he wanted to go to the Rust Dungeon. After hearing about the harsh environment of Rust Dungeon, Chu Jiang still did not change his mind. He's going to Rust Dungeon. Maybe I can find clues to the legacy in the Rust Dungeon. Seeing Chu Jiang's persistence, the mechanic priest also glanced at him. In that case, Madoka, take him to the mechanical dungeon. Xiao Yuan also glanced at Chu Jiang, but he didn't understand. Excellent mechanics like Chu Jiang can rely on their skills to live in the machinery city. But why go to the harsh environment of the Rust Dungeon? Okay, since Master Mechanic you want to go to Rust Dungeon, I will take you there. Thank you. Chapter 57, I have something better. What else is beneath the dungeon? Sir, you'd better put this on before entering the dungeon. With that said, Xiao Yuan also handed a gas mask to Chu Jiang. Chu Jiang glanced at the gas mask in her hand, and also glanced at Madoka. Why is there only one? Where's yours? Madoka scratched her head and smiled sheepishly. Sir, it's okay with me. My home is in Rust Dungeon. I'm used to it. But sir, you are different. If this is your first time entering the underground city, you probably won't be able to stand the environment inside. This gas mask also allows you to stay active in the dungeon longer. Chu Jiang glanced at the gas mask in her hand, and then raised his wrist. At this moment, the unmanned armor on his wrist turned into a steel mask and attached to Chu Jiang's face. Seeing Chu Jiang's steel mask, Madoka opposite him also showed a very envious look. This is enough for me. You should keep this gas mask for yourself. Seeing that Chu Jiang already had a better gas mask, Madoka no longer persisted. Later, Xiao Yuan and Chu Jiang also came to a mine. Through the elevator in the mine, they also went all the way down to the Rust Dungeon, which is known as the dark side of the Rust Star. Warning, a large amount of toxic gas has been detected in the air. The gas composition is being analyzed. The main toxic substances are industrial waste gas. The air filtration system has been turned on. At this moment, the Artificial Intelligence Friday, which had been silent, also sent a reminder. Sir, I find that you are in a very bad environment now. I hope you can leave this environment in time. Being in this industrial waste gas environment for a long time is likely to cause damage to your body functions. Chu Jiang also frowned slightly when he heard the AI Friday prompt. Looking up into the distance, a poor and chaotic underground city appeared in his field of vision. In this closed underground space, the only thing connected to the ground are these elevators. Above their heads, the sky composed of a large number of gears completely blocked the light. It's hard to imagine that beneath the bustling mechanical city, there is such a poor and chaotic city. Ding! At this moment, the elevator also reached the bottom floor. Chu Jiang stepped out of the elevator and was greeted by streets full of fireworks. On the street, a large number of vendors are selling items. Don't miss it when you're passing by, high-quality parts from uptown. Does anyone want to eat three-eyed flying fish? It was caught fresh today. Old Wang, how is business today? Give me 2 kilograms of monster meat. These beasts from the Star God Society have been acting more and more frequently recently. Everyone, please be careful. Oh, I'm afraid, these beasts are arrogant in the upper city. Come to Rust City and I will make them walk around without food. Listening to the conversations of the surrounding vendors, Chu Jiang could clearly hear it. These traders do not have a good impression of the so-called Star God Society. On the contrary, they were just like the previous small towns and maintained their respect for the Mechanicues. There are also some shops with Mechanicues logos hanging on them. This is enough to illustrate the influence of the Mechanicum on the residents of these underground cities. Continuing walking on the street, Chu Jiang also took out the crystal compass. However, when he saw the direction of the crystal compass, his face turned dark. Because after he came to the underground city, the crystal compass still pointed underground. What's the situation? I have already arrived at the dungeon. Is there any place lower than the dungeon? Just when Chu Jiang frowned slightly and was about to ask Xiao Yuan if there was anything else under the dungeon, a voice came over in a hurry. Madoka. I finally found you. I saw a middle-aged man with a big belly running up to Xiao Yuan, also sweating. Looking at the panting middle-aged man in front of her, Madoka also asked quickly. Brother Lin, why are you so anxious to see me? Oops. What are you doing here leisurely? Your parents were captured by the Star God Society. What? Upon hearing the news, Madoka's expression changed drastically, and then she ran towards home. It was the Star God Society again, and Chu Jiang discovered that this church was really everywhere. Seeing Xiao Yuan running towards home in a hurry, Chu Jiang immediately followed her. At the same time, Chu Jiang also sent his coordinates to many pilots. After passing through the complicated streets, Chu Jiang and Xiao Yuan also came to a dilapidated housing area. Chu Jiang looked at the surrounding houses and found it hard to imagine that the residents here still lived in dilapidated houses made entirely of scrap metal. At this time, a cry came from the distance. You beasts! We didn't mess with any of you, why do you arrest us? Snapped. A crisp slap came, followed by a burst of scolding. Untouchable, let go of your dirty hands. Your daughter colludes with the Mechanicues, that is heresy. You'd better hand over your daughter quickly, or we'll shoot. Hearing these words, Chu Jiang frowned slightly. Cross the street and come to an abandoned house. 370. I saw only a few members of the Star God Society wearing Star God Society costumes and gas masks on their faces, holding a kinetic energy rifle in their hands. Under his black muzzle, a couple was begging for mercy. The faces of the surrounding crowd were filled with anger, and some even picked up sticks. But facing the rifles in the hands of the members of the Star God Society, people were a little afraid and did not dare to step forward. At this moment, Madoka rushed out of the crowd and stood directly in front of her parents. You bastards, if you come at me for anything, why don't you go to my parents? Seeing Madoka appear, one of the Star God Society members also turned on the microcomputer. In the microcomputer, he also confirmed that the girl in front of him was the person they were looking for. Very good, we haven't looked for you yet, but you showed up on your own. Take this girl away, she is a heretic of the Mechanics and must be punished. As soon as these words came out, 2 Star God Society members also stepped forward. At this moment, a laser suddenly hit the heart of one of the Star God Society members. The Star God Society member died immediately. Seeing this scene, other Star God Society members immediately raised their kinetic energy rifles. Who? As soon as he finished speaking, an uncontrolled armor also landed in front of Madoka. Chapter 58, What do they want? Energy Core Area. Mr. Chu. Seeing this unmanned armor, Madoka immediately understood that it was Chu Jiang who took action. Among the crowd, Chu Jiang also used the bracelet to remotely control the unmanned armor. These members of the Star God Society are too deceptive. Chu Jiang took action directly, and under his control, the unmanned armor also raised his hands. 2 thermal energy laser guns also rose from the arms, and the 2 thermal energy laser guns were directly aimed at the 2 members of the Star God Society. When the 2 members of the Star God Society saw this scene, they were so frightened that their legs became weak. Damn it! Where did this iron lump come from? Why are you still standing there? If you don't open fire now, do you plan to be killed by them later? As soon as he finished speaking, the unmanned armor launched an attack directly. 2 thermal energy lasers directly penetrated the bodies of the 2 Star God Society members. 2 more Star God Society members were killed. At this time, Chu Jiang also controlled the unmanned armor to directly kill another member of the Star God Society. There was only 1 Star God Society member left, and Chu Jiang controlled the unmanned armor and grabbed his neck. Under Chu Jiang's threat, the member of the Star God Society also turned pale. Tell me, what is your purpose of arresting members of the Mechanics? The unmanned armor also made a mechanical sound, asking the members of the Star God Society for their purpose. And that member of the Star God Society had a look of horror on his face. The firearms in their hands were nothing compared to Chu Jiang's unmanned armor and were not worth mentioning. Chu Jiang also wanted to find out from these members of the Star God Society the true purpose of the Star God Society in dealing with the Mechanics. He believes that if it is just a battle of faith between churches, it would be too trivial. It's just that these members of the Star God Society who don't even have psychic powers are actually equipped with a large amount of armed forces. It is obvious that they not only want to destroy the Mechanics, but also want to kill all its followers. I don't know, we are just following the orders from above. Please let me go, I just joined the Star God Society not long ago, I'm not even a formal believer, I really don't know anything. The member of the Star God Society was also trembling all over, and no longer looked as arrogant and domineering as before. Seeing this, Chu Jiang knew very well that he would not be able to get any useful information out of this guy. Boom. 1 palm cannon shot and directly eliminated the last member of the Star God Society. When the people around him saw this scene, their expressions changed. Have those guys from the Star God Society been eliminated? After the unmanned armor eliminated these members of the Star God Society, it also left this place directly. Later, in a deserted corner, the unmanned armor was transformed into a nano bracelet and returned to Chu Jiang. What are you still doing? Come up and lend a hand and throw these beasts of the Star God Society into the wastewater lake. Those next to you, stop looking and come up and clean up the blood stains. When throwing it into the wastewater lake, remember to throw some scrap metal, otherwise it will float up in a while. Chu Jiang originally thought that these people would panic and then be overwhelmed by the bloody incident. But he never expected that when these people saw these dead members of the Star God Society, not only did they not have the slightest fear, but there was a trace of happiness in their eyes. They seemed to be rejoicing that someone finally came to help them deal with these demons. At this time, Chu Jiang also stepped forward to comfort Bu Yuan. It's okay now. Xiao Yuan looked at Chu Jiang with very grateful eyes. She knew very well that the unmanned armor just now was controlled by Chu Jiang. But she didn't say it directly. Saying it now would expose Chu Jiang's identity. In this case, it will not be of any benefit to Chu Jiang. After comforting Xiao Yuan's parents, Chu Jiang was also a little curious. Why do these Star God Society members go to all the trouble to come to the dungeon to catch you? I just investigated their microcomputer and found that in their data, they asked to take you back alive. After hearing these words, Madoka's face gradually became ugly. Apparently, she should know why these Star God Society members came to the underground city to look for her. Finally, Xiao Yuan looked at Chu Jiang and said seriously, "Mr. Chu, I know you are a good person. So I won't hide this from you anymore. I probably know why these Star God Society members want to arrest me." Saying that, Madoka also took out a magnetic card. And this magnetic card is actually the key to the core area of energy. That's right. The reason why the Mechanicues can still stand firm despite the pressure of the Star God Society is that they control the energy core area of the Rust Star. The Rust Star is a huge machine, and the operation of this machine requires energy and maintenance. The existence of Rust Dungeon is to maintain this huge and sophisticated machine. The energy core area is naturally the area that supplies energy to this planet. Only by mastering this area can we truly master the entire Rust Star. There are 10 such magnetic cards. Only with these 10 magnetic cards can we truly enter the energy core area. After hearing these words, Chu Jiang was sure. The ruins of the old human empire are in the energy core area that Madoka mentioned. Apart from this energy core area, there can be northwest other place to hide heritage in the entire Rust Star. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang also began to think about how to enter the core area of energy. On the other side, in the Church of the Star God Society, many members of the Star God Society were also sitting in the church. The godfather of the Star God Society looked at the people in the audience and said sincerely, "Hello, King Nua. Everyone here is the backbone of our Star God Society. You know very well that your current status is all thanks to Lord Star God. Lord Star God has given you spiritual power, allowing you to change your destiny against the will of heaven. Now, it's your turn to repay Lord Star God." Having said that, the Star Godfather waved his hand, and 10 portrait photos appeared on everyone's microcomputers. And these 10 people are the members of the Mechanicum who are responsible for keeping the magnetic cards so far. Only by gathering these 10 magnetic cards can they enter the energy core area. In order to allow Lord Star God to come to this star, we need more energy. And this planet will be our best sacrifice to Lord Star God. From now on, we must get these 10 magnetic cards at any cost. Chapter 59, The Star God Society Takes Action. Mechanic vs. Psyker. The night fell, Chu Jiang returned to the hotel. At least in today's event, he learned the structure of this Rust Star. The Rust Stars under his feet are divided into 3 areas in total. The first area is the mechanical city where it is, and it is also the surface of the Rust Stars. Then the second area is the underground Rust Underground City. Most of the people living there are aboriginals with Rust Stars. Their ancestors lived on this star, and to maintain the operation of this star under the guidance of mechanical divine religions. Then this is the core area of this planet, the core area of energy. Listening to Xiao Yuan's introduction, the entire energy core area is the most important area of Rust Stars. In the mechanical divine religion, only mechanical priests can enter the energy core area. And after entering the energy core area of the machine, these mechanical priests will have the next batch of machines every other year. In addition, neither the outside world, nor people inside cannot enter or leave the energy core area. If you want to open a channel to the core area of the energy, you must use 10 magnetic cards. These 10 magnetic cards are also replaced by one person every other time. And Xiao Yuan is the custodian of one of the magnetic cards. Because of this, the talents of the 657 Star God will be stared at her. It seems that the heritage left by the old human empire is in the core area of energy. There is only the core area of energy, which is the only area I can't enter. After learning the position of the inheritance, Chu Jiang was relieved a lot. Now that you know the location of the inheritance, it will be much better. Just as Chu Jiang considers how to get the magnetic card in the hands of the mechanical divine religion, Atiyu also knocked on the door of his room. "Captain, according to your instructions, we also started to investigate all the churches of all the star gods in this city. Later, we found that one of the churches gathered a large number of spiritual capabilities 3 hours ago. According to the information you provided to us, these spirituals are likely to do it at the mechanical gods tonight. Are you ready to do tonight?" Chu Jiang's eyes were slightly narrow, and it seemed that the star god would be more anxious than me. In this case, let's have a trick to catch the cicada in the back. Thinking of this, Chu Jiang also immediately notified all the iron controls. Staring at the spirituals of the star gods, "You must notify me as soon as possible. Yes. After all, Ming Tai also left the room. Chu Jiang looked at the high, hanging satellites in the sky, and it was clear for a while. It seems that it must be a sleeping night tonight. Ding! At this moment, the bell sounded, and Chu Jiang also saw the changes in the mechanical city in front of me. Many high-rise buildings are like building blocks at this moment, starting to split and combine. The entire street began to change. Chu Jiang was sitting in the hotel, watching the changing scene in front of him. The hotel under him is also changing, but he can't feel the bumps at all. At this moment, the original streets became a large number of mechanical abyss composed of gear. A large amount of steam sprayed out of the abyss. The bell lasted for a minute. After a minute, the scene in front of Chu Jiang changed. No wonder you say that the Rust star is a magic planet. Such a strange scene, it is estimated that even if it is dreaming, it is difficult to dream. At the same time, with the fall of the bell, many spirituals of the star god will also be armed, and they ran towards the Church of the Mechanical Divine. When these spiritual troops passed through a street, Taiyu's figure was also looming in the darkness. Those guys in the Star God Society have begun to act. Receive. Many Iron Men have also followed the team of the Star God Club. One of the members of the Star God Club also came to a mechanical church in the eastern part of the mechanical city. Looking at the church in front of him, the spiritual capable of sneer. Block this door, BDFC. Yes. One of the members of the Star God Club was also fully armed, directly put a sticky bomb on the door. Just hearing a loud noise, the door of the church was bombed. Subsequently, the head of the spiritual ability also entered the church. When he entered the church, a surprised electric light appeared on his face. Because in the Church of Mechanical Divine Religion at this moment, many transformation people have been aimed at the door. The moment when the spiritual can appear, a large number of guns sounded. But the next second, the spiritual person opened his palm, and the spirit shield was blocked in front of him. All the bullets that fired at him at this moment were suspended in the air. Oh, a group of scrap iron dares to delusion with my noble spiritual ability. Brush. The spiritual person waved, all bullets attacked in many transformers like heavy rain. But at this moment, a shield rises. A body of body transformation reached more than 100. The priests were blocked in front of everyone. At this moment, the priests of Wenchuan area on weekdays showed an unknown side. Several robotic arms were extended behind him, and each robotic arm was equipped with various fire weapons. Whoosh! A robotic arm pops up a spike directly, and the surface of this spike also emits a layer of light. In the next second, the robotic arm directly attacked by the spiritual person. Seeing this, the spiritual can also retreat quickly. Poof! The spikes directly pierced into the ground, looking at the instant melting ground. The spiritual power of the Star God Society is also slightly squinting. Sure enough, the mechanical divine religion has been inherited for so many years on the Rust stars, and there is still a lot of ability. But no matter how powerful he is just one person after all. I saw that the spiritor of the Star God Association waved his hands, and several spirituals behind him were also opened. Later, those mortals also poured into the church by holding firearms and began to attack the mechanical priest in front of them. Da-da-da. A large number of bullets attacked at the mechanical priest like heavy rain. The mechanical priest is also open the energy shield. But the opposite people have a lot of people, and the shields can't persist. You leave here. The mechanical priests are supporting the support in front, and at the same time, they also cover those transformers and leave here. These transformation people are just some church members who organize their spontaneous organization and protect the church. Compared to the trained professionals who have been trained on the opposite side, their combat effectiveness can be ignored. The mechanical priest also escorted these church members to leave. Subsequently, the mechanical priest took off his shirt, and it also revealed the transformed body. Now, it's your turn and me. Chapter 60, the mantis stalks the cicada while the oriole stalks the cicada, so you won't be able to reap the fruit. Brush. The mechanical prosthesis behind the mechanical priest also bursts out with powerful current. Several alloy blades popped out, and the mechanical priests were also fully armed and attacked the Star God Society troops in front of them. When the psychers of the Star God Society on the opposite side saw the mechanic priest rushing over, they also looked solemn. Several psychic shields blocked everyone. But the next second, the prosthetic limb behind the priest's back thrust towards them. A layer of plasma light appeared on the surface of the alloy blade, and the powerful plasma blade directly pierced the psychic shield. In an instant, the psychic shield shattered, and the mechanical priest rushed into the star god's troops like a murderous god, killing them wantonly. It is hard to imagine that the mechanical priest alone could severely damage the mortal troops of the Star God Society. But at this moment, a powerful psychic power directly enveloped the mechanical priest. The mechanic priest frowned, and he felt that his actions were becoming extremely difficult. So, he inserted the mechanical prosthetic limb into the ground and used the power of the mechanical prosthetic limb to forcefully break away from the control of psychic energy. The psyker on the opposite side also felt a powerful external force that was fighting against his psychic power. Damn it. You heretics still want to resist. Now, if you hand over the magnetic card in the energy core area, we can let you go. Obviously, the psykers of the Star God Society also saw the power of the machine priest. He never expected that these monsters, whose entire bodies were transformed from mechanical parts, would actually have such powerful fighting capabilities. Looking at the Star God Society members who suffered heavy losses around them, the psyker captain also chose to use gentle methods. Trying to use words to get the magnetic card from the mechanic priest. But the mechanical priest on the opposite side has no intention of surrendering at all. Boom. Suddenly, the prosthetic arm behind the Mechanicus priest turned into a cannon and blasted straight at the psyker captain. The psyker captain immediately opened his psychic shield to resist. In an instant, the psyker captain was engulfed in flames. The flames dissipated, and the psyker captain stood there with a gloomy expression. Damn it. You are a heretic. If you don't eat the toast, you will be fined with wine. Having said that, the psyker captain opened fire, and the powerful psychic power instantly surrounded the mechanical priest. The mechanical priest suddenly felt that his actions were like being in a quagmire. At this time, the psyker captain also shouted to the other psykers on the side, "Why are you still standing there?" The psychics of the Star God Society also reacted, and they quickly stepped forward to display their powerful psychic powers. Many spiritual powers are also blessed on the mechanical priest. No matter how powerful the mechanic priest is, he is still just a human being. Under the siege of many psychics, they also began to lose. Finally, the mechanical priest collapsed from exhaustion. Looking at the mechanical priest lying on the ground, many members of the Star God Society also looked at each other and smiled. The leader of the psyker captain also sneered, and then found the magnetic card from the mechanical priest. We finally got it, and it was not in vain that we spent so much money. Just a mechanical priest almost wiped out their mortal army. Even their psychics feel deeply exhausted due to excessive use of psychic powers. At this time, the psyker captain also picked up a weapon scattered on the ground and aimed it at the head of the mechanical priest. Oh, now it's time to send this old guy on his way. I just don't know if he has modified his voice. Just when the psyker captain was about to fire, a figure suddenly appeared next to him. Immediately afterwards, this figure also kicked out the psyker captain with lightning speed. The psyker captain was kicked hard against the wall. Even the magnetic card that was not yet warm in his hand was snatched away by the sudden appearance of the figure. And this figure is the pilot warrior who has been waiting for a long time. I saw the pilot warrior put the magnetic card into his pocket, and then activated the stealth device again. When everyone reacted to this sudden change, the pilot had already disappeared with the magnetic card. Seeing this scene, the psyker captain almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. They went through great hardships and wrested the magnetic card from the hands of the mechanic priest. Who would have known that someone would snatch him away before he could warm himself up? This guy must have planned it for a long time, otherwise it would be impossible to be so fast and accurate, aiming directly at the magnetic card. Please give me flowers. Damn it. It's the B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* You rats, do you only know how to sneak around? If you offend our Star God Association, you will not be able to reap the rewards. If you have the ability, come out and have a try with us. What's the point of hiding your head and showing your tail? Click. As soon as he finished speaking, many tough men surrounded all the members of the Star God Society. After experiencing the battle just now, these members of the Star God Society no longer have much fighting power. Now, it is very difficult for them to just pick up the weapons in their hands. When the Psyker captain saw this, his face darkened. Facing so many firearms, he sneered. Do you think these firearms and bullets can cause harm to me? I am a powerful and noble psyker. You untouchables have no idea how powerful psychic power is. Hearing the other party's arrogance, Kutai's lips slightly raised. One of the pilots raised the muzzle of his gun. Boom. Gunshots rang out, and the psyker captain on the opposite side was very confident. I saw him raising his hand to use his spiritual power, trying to repeat the same trick to levitate the bullet in the air. But the next second, only a puff was heard. He looked down and saw a scarlet blood flower blooming on his chest. The pilot sneered. Their bullets were all special bullets made specifically for psykers. This kind of bullet has strong suppressive power against psychics. Unexpectedly, these psychics really regard themselves as invincible gods. Long before meeting them, the Iron Men had already had the experience of fighting against psykers. They will not suffer the same loss at the hands of psychics a second time. Fire. Following the order, all pilots opened fire at the same time. A large number of special bullets penetrated directly through the chests of those members of the Star God Society. For a time, the entire Mechanicum Church was filled with a strong smell of blood. After the last member of the Star God Society was eliminated, Pilot also turned on the microcomputer and contacted Chu Jiang. Report to Captain, we have successfully recovered the magnetic card. Very good, come to my side immediately and join me. Received 6.